Whammy, Sammy, Bammy, have we got a show for you tonight? It is Hotline League episode 46. Oh my god, did you guys know that there was a group draw show? We were kind of sleeping through it, but we will discuss what happened on it. You know, actually, like the results, not the actual Either way, that happened. There was a new sponsor that I got announced. Kelby's going to be able to talk about it. There's like, it's just, I can't. Oh, and by the way, you get rewards now whenever you watch LCS and Worlds or whatever. Maybe that'll come to Hotline League, but not this episode. All that more starting right now at Hotline League, episode 46. Hotline League is brought to you by your Twitch Prime subscription. All right.
That was like if someone did coke and had a stroke at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
like, there was a lot of energy, but it was just not coherent and kind of like it was impressive.
yeah, thank you. I'm worried because I keep trying to outdo the last one.
Whammy Bammy Zammy's gonna be hard to top.
Yeah. I'm worried about it. Twitch chat freaking out right now. I'll explain a little bit about what you guys are talking about in a little bit. Kelby, are you okay? Are you? Did the intro
Yeah,
just
no, I'm
impress
fine.
you?
I just was curious why Twitch chat was freaking out.
Oh, okay. Normally there's a different. Hotline League is brought to you by Twitch Prime this week. Well, specifically your Twitch Prime
I
subscription.
was so confused when I saw that come up. I thought that had to have been an error or a glitch.
No.
Do you want to talk about it now, Travis?
We'll put it in the sponsor slot later on. Mark, how was your week? What happened?
It was kind of a week off because I didn't have anything this weekend, so I actually got to spend time with the girlfriend. That was all great. I shot something fun for offline TV beyond like us sitting in a room, which was nice. Started leveling my WoW alt. I just realized it resets tonight or like tomorrow morning, so I need to finish getting up to 120 and get a couple of weekly shit done tonight. And I also need to start prepping. Well, not start, but continue prepping for Worlds.
Good save. I need to start prep. I mean, continue prepping. I need to continue.
Who made it? Who's playing? I need to continue prepping for the story meeting we have on Wednesday night. I've got to like min-max the fuck out of my time. So I'll be playing WoW this entire episode.
All right.
You guys haven't finished the script yet?
I just need to learn my part. You know, like the script's there. I just read all my lines.
Right, gotcha.
So, hey, maybe we do need to address it because now I'm seeing people that are like, let's go tweet at his sponsor. All right. So before we get to Kelby, I'll just address it. So you guys might have noticed, intro of the show, normally it says sponsored by Omen by HP. It does not say that. I had a really great relationship with Omen by HP. They supported my content throughout the past year. They supported the show. You all in turn, in a way that I rarely have ever seen, and Kelby can attest to this as he eats his ramen. I just saw amazing support from you guys for that sponsorship. I had an opportunity come up that I will be able to explain eventually, not on this episode and probably not on the next one, that is everyone spamming? Oh, they're paying F to pay respects. I thought for a second the stream died, but you guys are all spamming F. That's hilarious. So I had an opportunity come up that I will be able to discuss in the future. That is just it was just better suited for what I am looking to accomplish in the near future. And so, unfortunately, conflicting situations occur, and then you kind of have to move on. So I really enjoyed working with all the folks over there. They were really fantastic folks to work with, and the support they showed me, especially as I was getting my feet underneath me in the beginning, was super incredible. I do think that whenever I am finally able to talk about what I'm able to do, you guys will see why this kind of makes sense. But for the time being, I hope you guys can all be super respectful. And again, please don't tweet at those guys because they were super fantastic. I loved working with them. Unfortunately, in the near future, we're just not going to be able to continue that relationship. But again, thanks to Omen for the support of Hotline League and everything I've done for the past year or so. looking forward to talking to you guys about new opportunity in the near future. And no, it's not Tidy Cats. I know you all think it's Tidy Cats. It's not Tidy Cats. But, if they are interested, there's always a spot for them. We could make that work. Kelby can talk to them. Anyway, Kelby, how was your past week?
It was good. I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, I was in. I did a lot of cool stuff this week that I can't talk about yet, but it's related to my work, which I'm not talking about, and can talk about in the future. So be on the lookout.
It would have been nice if you'd said something else after I made that comment. I'm trying to transition out of the we can talk about this in the future.
I'd love to have a job where I can just bullshit. Be like, yeah, I did some literally life-changing, world-saving stuff. I just can't talk about it, guys. So, you'll probably hear about it in 50 years when the classified information gets, lifted. But just until then, assume I cured cancer.
Yes, actually, you guys figured it out. Kelby, for the past week, he's been working on securing his sponsorship of all my content. So I can't talk about him as the next sponsor. But that's what it's. Kelby May is the next sponsor of Hotline League. I'm just going to leak it right now, and we're excited to have him come on board. He'll be promoting Dota 2, the Chainsmokers, and what else?
Our new show. Travis and I are doing a new show every Tuesday and Thursday night. It's called Total War Warhammer 2 co-op stream with Travis and Kelby.
Yeah.
Every night.
That doesn't roll
Tuesdays
off the
and Thursdays. I didn't really think about the name a lot.
Mango Loco Monster is what they're saying.
Yeah. Monster. But yeah. So you can look out for that hot new content at twitch.tv/Travis Gafford every Tuesday and Thursday evening when we stream co-op campaign together.
Yeah, people are saying this is a Fenron collaboration. Yes, it is. All right, let's move on.
Fenron's birthday.
What?
Happy birthday, Fenron.
Yeah, happy birthday, Fenron Jenkins. Thanks for doing that. Okay, let's actually talk about League of Legends, because we're losing Mark. And if there's like a timer.
Yeah, my bad, Mark.
I've been here the whole time.
That's 100%.
I've been playing WoW. I'm grinding.
No. Please don't say that.
I was like,
even if you're doing it, please don't admit it.
Entertaining right there.
You can check. My Discord's not private, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Anyway, there's been a lot of stuff that has happened the past week, and it's actually a perfect episode to have Kelby on, because a lot of that is more business-oriented, more sponsor-oriented, and so that's why I think it makes a lot of sense for him to be joining us. We've got the MasterCard sponsorship. I'd like to have at least one caller call in and give some sort of take, even if it's just like they want to learn more about what that means or whatever. It'd be great if somebody throws something out there. Would love to talk about the new viewer reward program that has hit. But of course, the big, and that was announced today, by the way, the big thing this past week, obviously, is the group draw. So we'll be discussing that. Is there anything else I'm forgetting, Mark? I feel like those are the big three.
I don't know if there's any other big news.
Maybe Twitch chat will help us remember. And obviously, if you think of something that you want to talk about, even if it's not necessarily those big topics, feel free to drop it in. If we think it's a interesting topic, we will be sure to pull it into the stream. Mark will be able to figure that out on his own.
You want to start doing with the spiel then? We ready to go? It's
only go for it. Go for it.
Fuck, this is so weird.
What?
It's just early.
Yeah, usually I'm not doing the spiel yet.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you guys
we start on time.
Seen the show, usually we don't start on time, but when we do, I start spamming Twitch chat with the link to the Discord that we use. You're gonna want to click that link and join up. When you get here, there's Pleb Calls and Pleb Calls 2 voice channels. You're going to join one of those. You can basically mute yourself once you're in there. And then the Pleb Topics text channel, that is where you're going to write your take. So, try and make sure you are expressing your opinion in your take, not just asking us what we think. So if you want to talk about Group B, don't just say, I want to talk about Group B. Say, I think it's one of the hardest groups we've ever seen, and it's going to be miserable for the West. And then we can talk about it. If we like your topic, I will pull you from the Pleb Calls voice channel into the waiting room where when it's your turn, I'll come in, do a quick voice check, make sure your microphone's working, and then we'll pull you into the on-air one to discuss it with all of us.
There you go. And if you are a Twitch Prime sub, which I'll be shouting out in a second, thank you to all those who saw the brought to you by Twitch Prime sub thing and sent Twitch Primes. But if you are a Twitch sub, Prime or otherwise, you can join the Discord under the subtopics section. Put your topic in there. It moves a little slower, so it doesn't necessarily guarantee you a spot on the show, but it does give you a bit of an advantage. Not too much of one. So thank you to everyone who is a sub. I understand the screen is flickering. I don't know why Skype is doing this. It's a new wonderful thing that Skype does. Every week there's a new Skype thing. Then now that I've said that, a million people are going to come out and say, like, why do you use Skype? It's because it's the thing that we use. It's hard to explain why. It's very technical. Anyway.
It has video that...
Yeah. But I think we are ready if you want to start pulling people.
Yeah, I'm reading, dude.
Okay.
I've been looking to pull this whole time.
Okay. Well, I don't know what that means. It sounds a little questionable, but...
Yeah, no, that's a mechanic that exists in Dota, but not League.
Andrew K. Cool subbed. Alex Tequila 23. Salam sent 100 bits. Ozzy Ferper. Gnomes. Cloud Ice. He says, Travis, any rewards for anniversary, which is 3 months? I got nothing for you. Vishy Thresh. Time Mixer. Signs. Posier. And KS Heart Sunderblade, Ulti, Cedric the Selfish, Coach Jake, and Avarice, 2 months, just to prove that I love you more than HP, have more money from me. Perfectly Adequate J resub for 10 months in a row. Action resub for 7 months. I'm going to be in Korea during finals. Is it worth watching it live in Korea? I know there's no English alternative at the venue. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good experience. I keep hearing everyone say that the opening ceremony is going to be insane, like the best one they've ever done, so... We're hearing that before. Yeah. Other than that,
all right, I got someone.
We got some people. Okay, go ahead and take a look, or go grab them. How's life, Kelby? Are we able to say where you work? Not as in like the company or your job, but like your physical location where you're spending your day.
Yeah, work from home.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw that out there if you weren't comfortable with it, but.
Yeah.
How's working from home been?
I miss going to an office and having other people around, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good for like days like today where you stayed up way too late the night before playing Total War Warhammer 2.
Actual Goob has joined the show. Actual Goob, where are you calling from?
I'm from Dauphin, Manitoba, Canada. So basically the middle of nowhere.
Dauphin, Manitoba. I feel like I've always heard the name Manitoba literally being used as an example of a place that's in the middle of nowhere.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
This is lit.
This is going to be great. Go. I'm really excited about it. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
Well, basically my hot take was 100 Thieves probably, and this was kind of off the top of my head, I'm not going to lie. But 100 Thieves probably has a better chance of getting out of groups than Team Liquid. Just kind of, and that's a little bit of me kind of thinking 100 Thieves is going to pull something out in Worlds, similar to the way Misfits kind of shocked people last year.
Okay.
And I apologize if I'm whispering.
No, that's perfectly fine. You sound 90% better than almost all of our callers.
Yeah. I think TL, like assuming EDG goes into TL's group, I think they've got about as much chance as G2 had last year of getting out of their group, maybe lower. I believe they had like the number 1 and number 2 seed from China last year.
Who's supposed to go into 100 Thieves group?
100 Thieves group is most likely going to be the I can't think of the name. The wildcard team is most likely.
Oh. So essentially, we're just saying that 100T needs to be Fnatic to make it out?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, most likely.
I mean, we can assume, like, assuming IG slams everybody and takes first.
Yeah, based off what you're seeing with what Travis has on screen right now, everybody, you will most likely see C9 end up in Group B. You will most likely see EDG or, holy shit, third seed from Europe, brain farting.
G2.
G2 end up in Group C or in Group A, as well as EDG going to Group A or Group C, and then the wild card team pretty much having to go into Group D then.
Yeah.
I would say NA has like a god awful chance of getting out of groups this year.
Okay.
Across the board.
Really?
Across the board.
So we should. Well, let's just address the thing he just said first before we get to the 100T take. I feel like I kind of agree. I don't know if I would say god awful, but like and we're gonna have to do this when we get to the 100 Thieves thing. But everyone thinks we hate 100 Thieves. I just don't have high expectations for 100 Thieves. This line will end up in the episode of the heist where they're celebrating, making it to semifinals or something, where I'm saying I don't have high expectations.
If I'm going to make a video, if I'm going to be in that video, I want it to be hyphy. So let me think of something to say.
Okay.
100 Thieves is a horrible representative of North America, and there's 0% chance they get out of Group D.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Now you're in the video.
That's the one that makes
Congrats,
me
man. But so I don't have high expectations for them. Cloud9 is going into the group of Beth. And then the Group C, I mean...
How good is EDG supposed to be?
I believe
EDG should be good.
How
what's
much
the-
further
what's the
behind
score in
the other?
gauntlet there?
Well, so like the thing with the EDG was like they choked really, really hard last year. But I think they're actually pretty good.
I've been giving Chinese teams a pass all year because they've been slamming pretty hard, but it's tough to say whether that's just RNG or
right. But I don't know.
But I mean, when you've got teams taking RNG to 5, when you've got the IG taking RNG to 5 games, they've got to be on a similar level, right? So
You'd think.
Yeah, and I mean like I like Haro, I like Scout. I don't know. I think they'll be good.
I would say it's got like my opinion there has way less to do with 100 Thieves than it does with NA's placings overall. Like
Where they're at group wise.
Okay, so why? What? Okay, here let's break it down. So one of the first things you said is you're predicting 100 Thieves to pull a Misfits. Why is 100 Thieves the team that will pull a Misfits?
I wouldn't necessarily predict that.
I mean, that was what you said in your opening line.
Yeah, that's fair.
Slow down there, Parth. Okay.
I would say like if one team does pull a Misfits, it's gonna be 100 Thieves, mostly because I just feel like, well, I mean, one, you didn't really expect Misfits to pull a Misfits. That's why it's pulling a Misfits, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think they have a group of, for the most part, veteran players. Yeah, it's 3/5 veteran players, I guess. But
doesn't Team Liquid also have a team of veteran players?
Yeah, I just think
one of which was a world champion.
Team Liquid, that's very fair. Team Liquid's group is in my opinion a bit tougher.
I mean, it's exactly the same if they get G2.
Yeah, if they I was assuming. I was going off Jat's 75% chance they get EDG. But if they do get G2,
I thought it was 50-50.
That he explained some, I don't know. I trust him with stats.
I don't think
they are called Jat Stats. That's his brand.
Upon reflecting, I could say it's Team Liquid's definitely got like, I would say like on paper they have a solid chance in comparison to 100 Thieves. I just basically have a feeling that 100 Thieves might pull out a game or two. And there is like I want Doublelift to do good at Worlds. I really do, but there's a track record to look at, and that's a really bot centric group, right? Well, it's a lot of bot centric teams, and can they slam the Chinese bot lane?
Mark, do we have another caller about groups, or can we just use this as sort of an open forum on groups?
I think we should just use it as an open forum because he's kind of hit on all the different groups. I'm sure more people will call in with more specific takes in the future. So I still don't feel like Worlds is off the table after this. But
yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I just am not. I feel pretty mediocre about NA with this group draw. I feel like Group C is the group where Team Liquid like fucks up somehow and loses and doesn't make it out. Like, I mean, I don't know, like some weird shit happens with KT and
like I know it's like you can't really say much besides a feeling, but if you look at like the week 2 of group stage, quite often it's about NA teams not being able to innovate whatsoever. And I look at 100 Thieves as one of the most likely teams to be able to change their play style in week 2.
I
Is
mean, right
that-
now I feel like 100T is the team most likely to not win a game in their group. Like, depends who their playing team is, but I don't know if they can win any games against Fnatic or.
Fnatic will be a tall task for sure.
I mean, Mark,
I'm definitely giving them a bit more credit than they probably deserve.
Mark, do we hate 100T? I asked
No.
because I clipped out the section that was about like if teams should be able to qualify for circuit points, and one of the Reddit comments that was pretty upvoted was like, Hotline League has a hate boner for 100T. I don't think we have a hate boner for 100T, but what's that stat that you say about best of fives, Mark, with 100T?
What stat that they only beat the? I don't know which stat.
It was like they only beat like the only best of fives they won was like an Optic one and a FlyQuest one or something like that.
It was Clutch Gaming in FlyQuest.
Were the only best of fives that they were able to win. I worry about the strength of that team, and I don't think that they are the third best team in North America. We're sending them as if they are the second best team in North America. And I worry that, I mean, Mark, I'm no analyst, so feel free to jump in here and correct me, but they just sort of have a like stall out style where they like stall until they win and scale.
I mean, they do a little more than that. Like they try and, for the most part, play like a more like side lane focus than a lot of other. And sometimes they don't pull off. Sometimes they just ARAM it like everyone else.
I think you would also hope with this substantial break between the end of playoffs and Worlds that they would work on those other styles as well, right? They're not just going to drive home, all right, guys, we're stalling out every single game at Worlds.
Do you think Team Liquid's going to do that?
That's a fair question. Well, you know, Impact could play Gangplank.
You're going to get a timeout soon, buddy.
I feel
Let
like
me fucking talk.
individually 100T has all their individual players are liabilities at Worlds for their positions and matching up against world talent. Like I could see them just having real hard times all over the map, and it's just like, wow, these games are just like blowouts.
I'm very curious to see what happens if
I could see that happening to all.
Can Mark speak now? I'm sorry.
I apologize.
I wouldn't mind finishing one thought this whole show.
I apologize.
everybody's spamming someday now.
Yeah, someday is like NA someday now. He's 2 years NA someday.
Maybe he'll be good again someday. I'm just kidding. Mark, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I think that they play. It is slow, and then it's a lot about like 1-3-1s and playing side lanes and not like taking every team fight. They're a lot more like risk averse than other NA teams, which I think makes them really good against against teams in North America who are worse than them. And what would have happened if they were the third seed to represent us? I think they'd actually be really good in the group stage. I think a lot of other people have said this as well, but like Fnatic actually was a pretty fast team in spring when they were playing with Bwipo and Soaz, and they slowed down a little bit with Reckless coming back, but they still look really good. IG is not a particularly slow team. Plus, they have like a really fucking nasty top laner in the Shy. So like, I don't think these are like good matchups in their own group necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's more my concern now that I've seen where they've gone. But I will agree that like if EDG ends up in Group C and C9 ends up in Group B, 100 Thieves might actually be our best chance to get out.
Yeah, and like
You don't have more confidence in TL against EDG than 100T against Fnatic?
like, what do you think, Mark?
Maybe not. I'd have to see how things look, but
Like
off the top of my head, not necessarily. No.
Do we think the Fnatic is the best team in EU?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the worst team we're sending from NA is going to beat the best team in EU.
Could
out of groups.
take one game.
Is that better than the best team in NA against the worst team China's sending?
I good question.
I think so, personally.
I mean, if China's the
I
best,
blame Mako.
I just want to preface this with I don't really have high hopes for anyone coming from NA. So I mean, it's like if 100 Thieves has a 15% chance of getting out of groups. Team Liquid probably has like a 12.
Yeah.
And then C9 probably has somewhere around there too, maybe less.
Yeah, I think NA's chances for performing well at Worlds really got crushed when Clutch lost in the gauntlet, unfortunately.
Yeah, that one caller had it right. No, I think it'll be pretty close. Like if EDG ends up in Group C and Wildcard in Group D, I think it's pretty close between 100 Thieves and TL of like who's our best shot at getting out.
Yeah,
But
I would say 100. I think Team Liquid's our only chance at groups. Our only like decent chance. I think. Look, Cloud9 always overperforms. They could come out of playoffs and just be like beating down people, and memes come out. Who would win? X support. Who's done all this stuff? Or one bearded boy, or like 100 Thieves like just suddenly does something crazy, and people are lauding Prawley as a genius. But I like that stuff can happen. And I'm saying all this so that if it does, I can point to this clip when people point to other clips of me shitting on this. But I still feel like Team Liquid is like our little spear that we're trying to throw through the gate.
I feel to put the final point on this, if I may.
Yeah.
I feel like in order for this, if TL gets out of groups, it's because they played well and deserved it. If 100 T makes it out of group, I feel like what is necessitated there is a Fnatic collapse, not that 100 T like steps up to the plate. I don't see 100 T stepping up to the plate and surpassing like an on-form Fnatic. Fnatic needs to fall apart at the event.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which could happen.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah, that's basically the 15% right there.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you so much for the call to my good friend, Actual Goob.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be here, guys. Sorry I didn't let Mark talk there for a while, but
No, it's fine.
I did it too, then Travis did it.
The best situation.
It's all about the callers.
Thank you.
Right on. Have a good one, guys.
That guy was actually a goob.
All right. Positive Wave subbed. CSear17 reset for 6 months. Wow, 6 months. Happy birthday. Smillstat917 reset for 7 months. Shoutouts to Omen by HP and pre-2012 Chainsmokers. Overcat subbed. Synthesis X subbed. Aravand Thiraselvum
Where did Kelby go?
donated $10. Where did he go?
He went to General. Why did he go to General? Should I chase him?
Can you get him back?
Well,
Bring,
I don't
bring
wanna-
back Kelby. I don't think he purposely moved out. We need to get him back.
He misclicked. He's a fucking goon.
Kelby?
I'm actually a goob.
Yeah, that's what
Someone tried to
works.
follow you down there. Look, everyone's going to General trying to get down to Kel. Ah, they're too slow.
Oh, I'm so dumb. First misclick of the series.
Aravind Thiraselvum sent $10. Hey man, love your work. Any chance you guys will be coming out to Australia anytime soon? No, but I wish I could. I actually really like Australia. If anybody in Australia wants to bring me there for some sort of sponsor thing, I will do it on the cheap. The Podberry is here. Podberry. What is your name, Podberry?
Bit of a high school joke similar to my last name.
Where are you from?
Brisbane, Australia.
Oh!
Whoa! Sorry.
Guess what his
Wait, are
topic's
you
about,
mocking me?
Travis?
No.
The Oceania region.
Are you the person who donated the $10 and said, "Are you guys coming to Australia anytime soon?"
I am not, but hey, if we want to make that happen.
I mean,
I went to Australia in high school. It was cool, but I don't know if I want to.
It's getting a bit warm at the moment, so I'd wait till it gets a bit colder again.
all right. Well, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I believe that this year will be the beginning of the Direwolves hype train.
What?
If we compare to the Direwolves from the group, at least from this year to last year, I think Infinity is definitely a step down from Brazil, and obviously EDG will sweep everyone. But if Direwolves come second, just based on how they match up against Infinity, I think Shernfire's aggressive jungle play style will serve them well, and then with some luck we get whoever wins Group D and throw some Oceania cheese to win the best of 5.
So, do you want to explain to the 90% of the audience who doesn't know who the Direwolves are?
I have no fucking clue.
The Direwolves have been Oceania's best team for the last 2
They
or
are
3
the
years.
Oceanic seed into Worlds.
Yeah.
And they have been for the past 3 years or 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh.
So at least what happened last year was they look really promising in week 1 and then get that OCE tilt and go off the face of the planet in the second half of the rounds. But they've been there enough times internationally where I'm hoping that they can get past that. And I think they match up. I just think the matchup that they have against Infinity, like you get half the other pool 2 teams, and I don't think this happens, but I think that they pulled probably the best pool 2 team that they could have in the play-in group draw.
So you would like us to discuss their probability of making it out of their play-in groups with a bunch of other teams that we've never watched before?
No, that's hey.
Well,
Hey,
I don't mind.
Well,
like, play-in starts
at-
next week. I think it's fine to discuss.
I'm not
And-
trying to shit on you, Podberry. I'm just saying
Okay.
that I don't know that I personally, and I would guess Travis or Mark, are
I know.
super well. Mark, definitely the most out of all of us. 100%.
I have covered play-ins for MSI and maybe I don't know if I did last MSI actually, but I did Worlds and 2 MSIs ago, and Direwolves was at all those. I'm pretty sure. So like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
think they've been
familiar-
at everyone for the last 2 years, I think.
yeah. So I've cast at least 3 of their events. And I gotta say, dude, like they are one of the teams, along with like whoever the Japanese representative is, whether it's Detonation or whoever the fuck it always is, Rampage, whatever. Direwolves is one of the teams I always hear super hyped up and always shit the bed.
Yeah,
Like-
especially with all the shit talking they did against C9, that was just setting us up to fail a little bit. But I think
I appreciated it.
I think the team, because the team's been, for those that don't know, the team's been together for the same team has been together with the exception of they swapped over their top laner. This second split, Chippies was the old top laner, and now Biopanther's in. While Biopanther's been playing, I believe his win record's like 27-6 or something. And he's one of those classic like play tank only and play for the team fight. Who I've done a little bit of looking up into Infinity, and their play style is kind of similar top lane, and so I think Biopanthers just can hold at top lane, and Shern can just take over the map like he does in OCE against them. And then yeah, EDG just shits on everyone anyway.
Yeah, so I think like the matchup versus Infinity is one that you guys can do well in. But after that, like you said, your only hope of getting out is if you get Group D. So
Yeah,
I think it's
that's kind of what this whole theory is banking on, is pulling either G-Rex or Gambit or whoever the fuck wins that group.
Let me turn this question around a little bit on you, my Australian friend. Why should anyone watching be excited for this team? As in, not like, oh, are they going to win or whatever, but like, give me a storyline, like sell all these people who wouldn't normally care about any of the teams in the plans outside of like the major regions. Sell them on the Direwolves. Like, why are they a hype team to watch and care about and all that stuff?
Just the way that they play, and obviously you can only really go off the teams they play in Oceania because that's the majority of the split. But they have this really aggressive play style where if people don't punish their early mistakes, and that's kind of what we've seen internationally recently, is people just punish their early mistakes. But when like Shernfire gets unlocked, he can take over the map. King and support Cupcake, I think King averages 1.4 deaths a game for this year, so they just stay super clean in the bot lane, and then it gets to a point where Shern and King take over the game and play that super aggressive playstyle. And on the other hand, if they tilt off the face of the planet, it's also entertaining to see them just get completely shit on.
So the other thing too is I don't know if they'll do it. Have they been humbled at all based off their previous international stuff, or do you think they'll come in and shit talk the way that it feels like they always do?
Well, the problem with the shit talking is that's kind of like the Australian way. Is you look at our kind of like real life actual sports with
Traditional
footy
sports.
and cricket and whatever. Yeah, we have a very shit talking, banterous nature, and I think that's them trying to carry that over into their international play because that's just what they're used to. I think it was last year there was a game where people had started getting up and screaming at each other from across the computers in a playoff game in OCE with 2 other random teams that were playing. But I think that they've gotten to a point now, especially last year when they were in such a promising against Team One. They won the first game and they were looking promising, and then they kind of shit the bed the second time they played and then lost the tiebreaker again. I obviously aren't there while they're boot camping, but I'm hoping that they can go in with a slightly more serious manner and just concentrate for the whole 2 weeks instead of tilting.
Very good. Well, we'll be keeping an eye out for Direwolves. I really like those guys. I don't know, like, who all is still there or whatever, either in management positions, coaching positions, whatever. But, like, when I went to Australia in 2014, all the Australian teams were really nice. It reminded me a lot about, like, kind of the beginning of League of Legends esports culture. So would love to see some success out of Oceania. Anyway, thank you so much.
Outside of the game, they're normally pretty nice, but inside the game, they talk mad shit.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Podberry, for your call.
All good. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Steed.
Hopefully the next one is towards Kelby's liking. Fenron Jenkins donated $10 and said, OMG, it's Kelby May and that amazing hair. I don't know why he's sending us money on his birthday. Benjamin Payne has subbed with Twitch Prime. XX Thought Patrol XX Diva has subbed with
Kelby
Prime.
will love this one.
And North Thunder has subbed with Prime as well. We've got Danksor on the show. Danksor, where are you calling
Budget Afromoo.
Yeah, from Miami.
from? Miami. Very good. Hey,
No, from Jacksonville.
Called in before. I remember.
He has. What do you want to talk about on the show today?
Yeah, so my topic was on the MasterCard sponsorship, and we haven't really heard anything from Riot after the BAMTech deal fell through, and also that I feel like this is the Kha'Zix Chromas are like a step in the right direction for these teams to start making some kind of revenue from their franchise slots at least. And yeah, I kind of just want to talk about that and like maybe different strategies that Riot potentially could do to these franchise teams, at least in any LCS, to start making some kind of money. It's been over a year since they've been in the system, right?
Yes. I mean, I assume they've been making some money. I just don't know if it's enough. But the MasterCard thing, by the way, very hyped about, very excited about. And Kelby, you were pretty excited about it in our private conversations whenever it got announced. As a guy who works in sort of in the sales sponsor thing, what do you think it means for MasterCard to come into the space?
Well, I'm glad that Riot just, finally put a deal through, and I also am happy. Like I've heard some stuff in the ethos that this is like a pretty significant financial deal, which is awesome. And I mean, we'll find out, or I guess you guys won't find out, but the indefinite article, we will find out how much it is down the road. And also, I'm just
Sorry,
kind
what
of
do you
like,
mean? You're saying we'll find out somehow?
I will.
You'll find out.
It'll be time for a Kelbier. It's like a Zimmer, but
no, I'm not going to share it publicly. It's just for my own edification and doing my job and stuff.
Can you if when you find out, I'll just ask you on the show and you can go like this, or you can just not react at all. If exactly. Anyway, continue.
But we when I was at Twitch, we actually were talking to MasterCard about some like potential esports sponsorship stuff, and one of the things that I really liked in doing prep for them was kind of their focus that we've seen come through in their talking points about the LCS relationship, where they are a brand that is all about creating like a unique and special once in a lifetime experience for the audience. So I'm really hoping that Riot took that along, like that sentiment to heart, along with their planning with them, and that like as a result, they're going to be using that budget, and that MasterCard will be investing to create opportunities for the LCS fan that is like different than what we've seen otherwise. Because usually like a lot of barriers for creating like these unique content or like in-person moments or opportunities or like VIP experiences is like a budget thing. It's like, we could do this, but like, does this make sense for the profitability of the event? And like, what is the purpose of us doing this if we're not like translating a message through and we don't have a way to monetize it? This relationship, it sounds like, potentially unlocks that, and also can hopefully then drive through additional revenue to the organizations, and just make everybody happy. All that to say, I've been doing a ramble. I think that MasterCard's brand message works really, really well with pairing with an event like this, and could create some really cool stuff for us, which is, as a fan first, what I want to get from, brand deals in the space is like, how does this make my viewing experience better?
Yeah, I am very excited to see how that stuff plays out. I mean, we've already seen some examples of that, and I'm in terms of like the stuff that they're going to be able to do. If people haven't seen it yet, like you can go see a rehearsal of Worlds opening ceremony if you are part of this thing, or they do some. I don't know if it's a giveaway or if you just get it on their site or redeem or whatever. You can win a chance to make it to All Stars if you have your MasterCard in the as a billing thing within the League of Legends store. Like that stuff is really unique integrations that you can't really get elsewhere. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, the thing that is the biggest challenge, I would say, so like if I'm allowed to get like businessy here, if you're framing the scope of the relationship and what drives success for MasterCard and probably has them happiest and gets them to stick around and also translates for the audience, is like when you do on-site stuff, it's really cool for those in person, but ultimately, in order to drive the scale of engagement that they're probably wanting around this relationship, you need to do something beyond just those who are able to attend in person. The challenge is going to be for them thinking of how can MasterCard level up the LCS experience for the average person, and really create something that drives a lot of value to just like anybody from home who's watching or experiencing or trying to get engaged in some way, that then is real incentive for like all of us to interact with the brand in a meaningful way, where MasterCard sees them and they're like, holy shit, like this is awesome. We've created this value opportunity that drives back for all of us, and now we're getting, this appreciation, recognition, engagement, whatever. But that's a difficult one, because to do it at such a scale and drive that value and have it not be like cost prohibitive is like, creates a lot of like creative thinking to be able to solve for that.
Yeah.
Do you think one way to do that is to let people buy those like MasterCard like chests or whatever? I saw your video of opening one, Travis, and I saw someone post on Reddit like a week ago like what was inside. And I think it's pretty cool, but it seems like only content creators or people who are like somewhat notable in the scene are getting those
Somewhat
like
notable?
chests.
I would say very notable.
I didn't get one, dude.
Yes, exactly. There's a big difference between somewhat notable and very notable. That's what demonstrated here.
But something like that, maybe like fans could buy one of those chests, and I mean it's like a kind of a way where it's a constant reminder of MasterCard supporting League of Legends, where you have one in your room or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe something like that's what you're talking about.
Well, I think that probably what they're going to be looking for is something that results in a net effect of the fan engaging with one of their products. Like MasterCard is not in the business of, building out these swag chests or whatever, right? They are ultimately going to want fans to engage with one of their card or payment services. And I don't know the full MasterCard suite, to be honest, so I can't speak to it. Maybe there's something new potentially that they're trying to push as well, but some sort of direct tie back into that, or at least like makes people aware of what they have going on there and has some sort of call to action element is probably what they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, they said that there's going to be unique League of Legends products that you can get in certain markets coming soon, meaning like a MasterCard League of Legends version.
Like what would be really cool is like, if you can do a custom skin for your card that Riot is exclusively licensing to MasterCard, so that like, when I get my personalized credit card, it has my favorite champion on it, or team branding or something like that that's only available through MasterCard. And like that's pretty basic stuff, but I mean, when you're making a credit card decision, like that I think that can probably be a driving factor for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't even think people make credit card decisions so much as like, this credit card is cool. I'm going to apply
Yeah.
for it. There very rarely do people say, you almost have to create a unique enough experience that people who already have a credit card or like haven't thought about getting a credit card, they now have a reason to get one.
Or like you get extra points for RP purchases or something like that compared to like other card programs. You know, like if I'm using the Amazon Prime card and I'm making RP purchases, it gives me like the standard whatever. But if I'm making RP purchases with my MasterCard, you know, I get like triple points or 5x points or something on my MasterCard, which would be really cool. And obviously then drives a lot of incentive value for this is a lot of free fucking consulting that I'm giving right here. Like, MasterCard, I'm expecting to be brought in and paid for this work, and these ideas, they will just keep coming.
This entire time, all I've wanted to ask Kelby is whether or not he thinks he could have got this deal for Riot.
No comment.
That's a yes.
I brought in really good comments.
Oh, is he roboting just for me? Mark? Discord? Hello?
Is it just me or is it everybody?
Oh, we're back.
We're back. Can I bring up my last point real quick?
Am I still a robot?
No, you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. So I guess my last point is, you know, since the Kha'Zix chromas that they're making for every team in the World Championships right now.
Did you hear about this, Kelby?
No.
Okay, so just a quick rundown. So basically, right for Championship Kha'Zix, it's a championship skin.
They haven't announced this yet, right?
No, it's on PBE. You could see an image of all the skins. So they made a skin for like 100 Thieves.
I'm gonna link it in Twitch chat and also in our Skype chat.
Wait, they did it for every team that made Worlds?
Including ones that haven't. That they did it for teams that were possibly going to make Worlds because they wouldn't have enough time.
Yeah, so it's like the colors represent like the actual team's colors, and when they back, Kha'Zix backs, it shows like a flag of the team.
Right. Oh, nice. This is a nice little like. Okay, cool. Yeah. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious, how do NALCS franchise team owners feel about this? Because these are teams. I mean, the World Championships obviously is a very big deal, but they invested 10 million. Well, at least initially 10 million to even be a part of the franchise system, and teams that weren't a part of this franchise system got skins before they did. And I mean, I feel like this is probably a step in a direction where they might make some kind of like custom skins for like each team or something like that, or like something more to other than a freaking icon for me to support my favorite teams. So what do you guys think? Like, I guess the question is like, how do you think NALCS owners feel about the fact that, you know, World Championship teams are getting skins before they do? And then also, do you think this is something you're going to be experimenting with as like ways for the NALCS to start like being able to make money off like stuff in game, or even just like overlays, for example, which would be something pretty not too hard to do, I think.
Well, I have a question. You purchase these skins for RP based on the individual team?
We don't know. So they have not announced what the program is. So who knows if it's like if you own Kha'Zix, you can equip like the team logo or icon, and you get this. Like there's not any details on what the financial mechanisms are, or if there are.
Right. So I think that probably, depending on what the financial mechanisms are, probably is a large determining factor in whether or not NA franchise owners are annoyed at this. I think regardless, probably they're not overly upset. It'll be interesting to see, because actually, like, Valve has been doing this at the International the past couple years, where they didn't cut teams in on these kind of cosmetics that were ending up in the Battle Pass.
That seems really shady.
I don't want to like get too deep into it in regards to like thoughts or opinions one way or another.
What? This is the Kelby May who goes,
wow.
I could sell that better than Riot Games. And then Valve comes in.
Dude, it's his own scene. He can't.
No. It's just because I have a lot of knowledge of the politics behind the scenes that go on as far as like team owners and their interaction with Valve and stuff like that I don't want to speak about or get into. The other thing about it as well is that the thing about that is that it's released through a system that isn't directly monetizable. So like I don't purchase like an EG backing icon. It's something that's unlocked whenever I purchase a battle pass, and I can choose any of the teams from the drop down. So that's why I'm asking, is this something where Riot is going to make it available to everybody, that I can choose like a Chroma Cosmic skin from any of the teams of my liking, or am I making individual purchases? Because I think as well in the Valve instance, that's more you like justifiable from their standpoint, that they're not directly monetizing team's brand, and they're saying like, hey, we're doing this. They're doing this prize pool event that's got $25 million. Like, you guys are getting compensated in a decent way for this. You know what I mean? Whereas like Riot, if you're doing something that's a wide release and it's available to everybody, then yeah, teams might not be even getting cut in on the money. Whereas like if you're doing individual purchases, then I imagine that they probably are.
I don't think the LCS teams care if this is happening. I think they're excited
Yeah.
that Riot's taking a step in the next direction or right direction, and they're going to say, hey, can we do something like that for LCS?
Right.
And if Riot says no, I think that's when they get annoyed. But I don't think they see this launch and then they're like, wait,
Yeah.
where was mine?
Right. They probably want to do something even a little bit above this that is they are definitely directly monetizing and they can get like a share of. Whereas we don't know what as Travis said, the financial economics around this situation. And how
Hey,
it's
thank
gonna
you
pan
so
out.
much, Danksar, for your call.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, moving on to the next caller.
You were right, Mark.
What?
I enjoyed that caller very much.
I'm disappointed in you, Kelby. I thought you would have had more to say about the Dota 2 thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about different team owner stuff.
Jethan subbed. Sir Malifac gifted a sub to Icarus23. Icarus, by the way, you can resub for $1 during September. Knight of 01802 subbed, and Hack 377 subbed, and then Honey Badger 9 sent 400 bits. Thank you to all those wonderful individuals. I lost about 100 subs over the week, so you guys are helping me climb back up. Yeah, people are saying Mark is just playing WoW, distracted. But
Travis, you can check Discord and see that that's absolutely true.
wait, but it says you're not.
Oh. I haven't been playing WoW.
Okay.
I have not.
Connor, H314 is here. Connor, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay. I turned you up because you were a little quiet. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight, Connor?
So, I don't know. I think the LMS is in such a weird spot. I think the line between an emerging region and a major region is becoming blurred. But I think that LMS has done poorly at recent international events. And I think that I definitely think that they should be called in. Like, they could almost be like demoted to an emerging region. Now, I know that their international results are like they're even worse than NA's, really. They haven't, everybody jokes about, oh, NA groups, lol. But LMS hasn't made it out of groups since 2015 at Worlds. They even had a team in 2017 like get knocked out in the play-ins. Like, we're far removed from the world of like Korean killers back in like season 3, season 4. We're really far removed from that. I think
Are we?
I feel like we are. It's like, so whenever the analysts will talk about like the LMS, it's like,
Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is this our Tidy Cats call of the evening?
You know what's funny is I think my cat took a shit right before the show. It smells really bad in here.
Because we can move this into the litter box if we need to.
Yeah.
So
No, we're
just
not.
curious, Connor,
Tidy Cats didn't pay us. They got the free promotion out of that last one. They don't get any more.
So Connor, what do you think about their MSI results from the last 2 years?
I think their MSI, like, okay, they got semifinals, which is good, but like they don't show up at Worlds, and I feel like Worlds is always the big ticket like international event, like every year. And if we're really talking about LMS, it's always like the Flash World show, really, and they're always the ones at MSI, so they arguably can do well, but the rest of the region sucks so bad. It's always a shit show for the rest of the region, and like they never make it out of groups, and you like maybe hope that Flash Wolves does, but
All right, so I'll give you a little bit more credit than I think Twitch chat's giving you. I agree that like
no, they're fucking flavored.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens. I agree that they sometimes like the rest of the region doesn't step up enough outside Flash Wolves. But I don't think you can just like ignore the fact that Flash Wolves does outperform NA pretty frequently. The last two MSIs, they made it out of groups and we didn't. Like I don't think you can just ignore that completely just because it's not Worlds. Like I think MSI does matter a lot to people. So unfortunately, I think like if you start talking about Flash Wolves in this way, you gotta start looking at like NA in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I
I mean,
mean,
we've had one team out of 3 make it out. They send 2 usually.
they sent 3 last year, but they sent 2 the year before. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. We also never we had a year where none of us made it out in 2015. Like NA's had some bad events, dude.
They also
Yeah.
won a world championship.
And they won a world championship, or you mean?
No.
Yeah.
Like in season 2.
No.
like, season 2 wasn't even LCS.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're going real. I'm reaching real far for that.
Yeah, I mean, even just the last 2 or 3 years, like they have had events that have done better than NA, and like NA had MSI as well. That one where they, 2016 was all great, but I don't think that they have done so much worse than NA that like we should be called like they should be an emerging region because then I think that shines the spotlight on us too. So I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I feel like
should they,
personally,
I think they've been doing
Preservation.
okay. I think it's a good way to have this happen.
yeah.
I feel like personally, just from watching the games that I have of theirs that I remember from the last 2 Worlds, like I feel like Flash Wolves is a much scarier team than any team we've sent. Which is only one team for a region, but I don't know. I feel like their games are, from what I recall.
Sometimes they're the Trash Wolves.
Yeah, they sucked last year.
Maybe it was a different year then.
I think you're thinking of their MSIs. Their MSIs are always really scary.
Okay.
But their Worlds, like they were basically the team that, if I remember this, they ruined TSM's chances, so kind of took them down with them. Or was that AHQ? No, AHQ was in Group A and Flash was in Group D last year, right?
Then I think to transition, like I think the line between like blur is like I said, I think it's blurring between like what an emerging region and a major region is, because I think you have multiple like regions that are like borderline like results. Like Vietnam has been stepping up for like the last 2 years. I think that LMS and NA like don't do that well usually, so it's like this weird. Like
I don't know if we're
Vietnam
doing worse than Vietnam.
We're not doing worse, but they're like stepping up. They're, as you might say, closing the gap between the major regions and them. So it's like it's really weird. That's why I say like the line's blurring, and it's hard to put like I think it's hard to place regions on one side or another of like that line. It's so. Like,
I agree on that point. Like regions like Vietnam, LMS, and NA kind of blur things, but I don't think I'd want like, despite how much like we kind of meme NA, it's not like they've ever lost in play-ins. Like if we ever lost in play-ins, I'd be really fucking concerned about the future of NA. I think that's probably a time where you're like, Jesus Christ, what's going on with us?
Gumiho says G-Rex will make it out of play-ins. And Gumiho, by the way, who a lot of people might know as Xander rates for a bunch of stuff, kind of the new LMS expert, I feel like, has said that if LMS never made it out of groups at anything, this statement would be fair, but considering they make it out of groups, maybe not so fair of a statement.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing where, like, if people want to make this argument, you're also making it about NA.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't want to make it.
Hey.
Hong Kong did lose to Fenerbahce. So I guess we have that they've LMS has lost in the wild card play-ins before, but we never have.
Yeah, but let's not say that because Cloud9's still in the play-ins. I don't want to curse this. Hey, Connor, thank you so much for your call.
Let's jinx it!
Thank you so
all
much,
right,
Connor.
yeah, no. Wait, can I say one last thing?
Sure.
I was on the show once before, like episode 6 back in like February with Loco Doco, and I've got a clip saved, and I hope that I'm right with my prediction. And I'm hoping.
What
It's a pretty bold one, and I'm shaking in my boots.
What was it? Can you let us back in? Because none of us are gonna remember.
I know. Well, boldly then, knowing the roster, I thought the rosters of NA were like super good, and I was like hype on the TSMTL train. I said that NA was gonna have 2 teams make it out of groups, and possibly have 1 team go to semis. But I think like I said, I'm shaking in my boots. I don't think that's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
That's not even like that
So
crazy.
you're just bringing up your last.
That is crazy. That is fucking
that's crazy
nuts.
to me.
2
Like,
teams out of groups, 1 team to semis.
two teams out of groups is like we overperformed a little bit. Like I don't think getting 2 teams out of groups is that crazy. I think that's good. I think that's a good Worlds for us. I'm 100% in agreement. That's a good Worlds for us.
When you say good Worlds, that's unprecedented.
No, it's not. 2014 it happened.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, TSM
Yeah,
and
TSM
Cloud9 made
C9.
that.
Yeah.
They both made it to quarters.
Okay, my bad.
And
yeah, I'll be
you
coming back
didn't
on
make it
this.
out. You took the long trip back home
I
because
was-
you got kaboomed, Kelby.
Oh, Alliance?
Yeah.
Rest in fucking peace, dude. I remember now.
This
No
is
wonder
when-
I.
Kelby is NA Monty. Twitch chat says, in 2014, Kelby and I were sharing hotel rooms. Kelby very generously was helping me save some travel costs, and he was working with Alliance then. And
Also
he-
the best wingman?
Is there some more to this story?
Oh, yeah.
And we.
I really threw Travis
You
there.
really did throw me.
Sorry.
Travis is fucking stuck.
And
Gotta
you.
reboot the engine.
Kelby was like booking. I didn't book a hotel room because I thought we were going to continue on it in Korea.
So did I, Travis.
And
did
then
I.
the very end of it, kaboom, hit him, and so Kelby had to book a flight back to LA, and I had to book a hotel room. It was rough.
Yeah.
Connor, thank you so much for the call.
Yeah, no problem. I'm done now.
Have a good one.
See you, dude.
You too.
Okay, wait. Before you
I-
move, Mark, go ahead.
I have a little bit of a follow-up. I want to know, Twitch chat, how crazy on a scale from 0 to 10 is NA getting 2 people out of groups now that you've seen the group draw?
Dude, this is 9s or higher, man.
I feel like it's like a 5. It's like a little.
5?
It's like a
How
little
are they gonna
crazy.
do
It's
it?
a little crazy.
Sorry, wait. What's the question one more time?
How crazy is it if NA gets 2 teams out of groups, like between 0 and 10?
Like 10 being like crazy world.
10 is like, oh my fucking god, miracle on ice.
I think it's an 8.
Wow.
I think it's.
I
an
didn't
eight.
think I was that optimistic. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, I still like 5 is still halfway to crazy. It's still pretty unlikely.
So you're saying it's pretty unlikely, but you're rating it a 5?
Yeah, in terms of the
I feel like 5 is a
spectrum-
50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Okay, well I said on 0 to crazy, not like. Just
Yeah, 0
what's
is like expected.
0 is
10 is-
expected.
10
5
is
is unexpected and good, and 10 is like, oh my fucking god. 10 is like we won worlds.
Oh,
10 is as crazy as it can get. We're literally saying 10 is the craziest shit possible.
okay, then maybe 7.
Yeah, I'm in like that 9 territory right
Yeah,
now.
like I don't think the
You,
groups
you,
are
don't,
very good.
you think if we get 2 teams out of groups, it's almost the same thing as winning worlds?
Well, because you have to get Cloud9 out of their group unless they like throw or something.
100 T.
No, yeah,
It's
there's
got to
a
be like
million things.
yeah.
And
Okay,
that's what I'm
so
saying.
9
You have
is-
to either get them out of group or 100T has to do something crazy, and you think Team Liquid's going to come through.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a bunch of shit can happen. Like, shit can go wrong in the gauntlet,
yeah,
right?
shit
Like,
can happen.
Or the playing stage, and then C9 doesn't have to end up in Group B.
And the Americans can beat the Russians in hockey. That's like that was
Yeah.
the Miracle on Ice thing,
Yeah.
right?
Okay,
right,
I think
yeah.
Yeah.
9's probably a bit of a stretch, but man, dude, I think there's like if I was giving it percentages, I would say like there is maybe a 5% chance that this happens.
Yeah, I think it's between 5 and 10% chance. I'm like, I can be pushed to a 7.
Okay.
Maybe I'll push to a 7. But like,
I think 7.
9 is like making semis for me. Like if we somehow get 2 teams out of groups and one of them somehow gets to semis, I'm like mind fucking blown.
I think that there are better odds that we have a team that goes to semis than 2 teams going out of groups.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because if TL makes it out, they can get lucky and get a shit team in quarters.
Wait, how
Or
does
not
that even
shit
make
Yeah,
team,
but they would have to be a 1 seed then, which I think is not going to happen at all versus KT. I think it's
They have the best chance to get a 1 seed from their group, probably. Like I think they could.
I think they get easier quarterfinal matchups if they get a 2 seed and somehow someone else overperforms. Like
Yeah.
a Freaka chokes and somehow Flash Wolves is the 1 seed. And
Yeah,
then like
yeah.
Team Liquid draws them. I think that's way more likely to get a good quarterfinal matchup than TL beating KT.
Sure. Well, I just think that like it's more likely that TL makes it out and gets a good quarterfinal matchup than we have 2 teams that makes it out.
You're
of
hoping
groups.
for what's called an H2K, Mark, where it's like, oh look, we're playing
Yeah.
the wild card team in quarters.
But to be fair to H2K,
Yeah.
to be fair to H2K, they got the 1 seed over an underperforming.
Oh
EG.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Sorry, that's a good point.
So, they earned that semifinals for sure, guys.
Oh. All right, we don't need to pick the brand now, but now that we got Calby back, we don't have a sponsor for this episode other than Twitch Prime, which maybe you guys don't want to throw that in there. I think we should come up with another brand before the end of the show to Hotline League pitch again.
What the fuck?
What?
We're all in on Tidy Cats.
The Tidy Cats thing isn't happening. They did
Persistence.
not even
You give up so easy.
No. They did not even respond. Like
Right.
there was nothing. Tidy Cats. We're churning sponsors so that we can try. Like we need to throw. Look, I believe a lot in Hotline League.
I
Hotline
think your
League is not
strategy
gonna.
is wrong. Your sales strategy is wrong, Travis.
Hotline
Kelby.
League is not going to burst through an impenetrable wall. You got to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Okay.
Kelby,
Wall
I got a question.
analogies.
yeah.
You're an expert in sales. How useful is hate mail to motivating
Okay,
someone?
we're not sending hate mail to Tidy Cats.
Yeah,
You don't
no,
think
we're not going to bully them into sponsoring us.
Yeah, that's not a
where-
good idea.
Hey, I'm naive, all right? I was just wondering.
No, I got you.
No stupid questions, right?
Right.
Who else?
say-
Who else? I think Tidy Cats is not monitoring their Twitter enough for it. They're just.
What about
they're
like
gonna-
DiGiorno's?
Yeah, that's-
Some like food.
You keep wanting to get DiGiorno's in. Those guys are all. That's too easy.
I got sick
Dude,
eating
I'm
a DiGiorno's
staring-
pizza once. I'm not a fan.
All right,
personally.
whatever Kelby just said, definitely made sure that we're not going to get.
Clip
Whoa.
it. Tweet it at DiGiorno's. Let them
It
know.
was so good he got sick.
Yeah.
It made
This
him depressed.
pizza is sick.
All right. Well, we just killed the DiGiorno tats, so
How
like
about
let's
pizza
see.
rolls? How about Totino's pizza rolls? All right, I'm just looking at.
I like
I'm looking at being nocturnal for a month, and I would love some free microwavable food for late night.
Okay. Twitch chat. No, Wendy's. There's too many people trying to get at Wendy's.
Wendy's is hot shit, dude. That's like the hottest girl in the
Yeah,
class
dude.
right now.
Yeah, that's we're not.
Ain't
gonna-
no chance.
Twitch chat, come up with some brands. Mark is gonna go get another caller for us as we move along.
I'm totally willing to double
the
down
show.
on Tidy
Guys,
Cats.
Hot Pockets and pizza rolls. Come on, try to be just aspire to be a little
Yeah.
bit of a classier group of people here. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We don't need bagel bites. Come the fuck on. All right. Don't play into that stereotype shit. You know, get something.
You guys are ridiculous.
Get something good here. All right. Tesla. All right. We're not going for that. Trojan. Again, no sex sponsors.
What?
Red
Why
Lobster.
not? Safe sex is important, Travis. Do you know that safe sex is way more effective in the public school system than abstinence-only education?
Granny Smith apples. People are just naming the things that are sitting on the table. Tinder Oreos in esports. Morton Salt. Morton Salt's a good one, but I don't think like salt sells itself. They don't nearly need to do much marketing.
That's what you think, dude.
All right. Planned Parenthood. We're moving on. Prador. Prador is here. What do you want to talk about? Or where are you calling from, Prador?
I'm calling from Finland.
From Finland. Holy moly! What time is it in Finland?
It's a bit over 7.
Oh, past 7. Well, welcome to the show. Is it? I hear Finland is very cold.
Actually, summer was quite warm here.
Okay.
It was like 20 Celsius all time.
Okay. I would like to come there sometime. Finland, I've heard good things. What do you want to talk about in the show tonight?
That Fnatic is West's only chance to make top 4 at this Worlds.
Fnatic is the West's only chance to make top 4 worlds. I am not surprised to hear a person from Finland coming up with this take. This is a very appropriate take for a Finland person. Why Fnatic?
Well, and they have only group that they can actually make first, in my mind. Team Liquid could get second and then maybe beat Fnatic or Flash Wolf, but it's not that likely. And Caps is best player in the West and actually can carry that team to the top 4 in my mind.
Okay, so Fnatic has the best chance at making top seed, which gives them the best chance of getting a good matchup in quarters. And you don't think any of the other you don't believe in Team Liquid? Why? Because their group or because the team or both?
Basically, I don't believe in Team Liquid that much, and then they have KT, which is like favorites to win Worlds in my mind.
Oh yeah. Okay. Why KT? Because I hear a lot of people say like RNG or Gen G, but why KT?
They individual talents can match actually RNG in my mind, and even be better, and hold out bot lane with Deft and Mata against RNG.
Yeah.
Which is RNG's win condition in my mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said this on stream the other day. I somewhat agree with you on the KT Team Liquid thing, because Double Lift Ole, they had a hard time with Deftly and Matt, so I don't know how they're gonna do against Deft and Mata. That's moving on. That's a joke.
Well, but do Deft and Mata play Heimerdinger?
Maybe they will at Worlds. I don't know.
I mean, this guy is right. Can we just move on to the next caller?
I mean, Mark, do you agree with this?
Let's at least talk about why we both agree.
Yeah.
Mark,
Okay.
go for it.
I think Fnatic versus IG is a little scary. But Rookie feels like one of those players who can go pretty boom or bust.
Your webcam turned off.
What the fuck, dude? Wait, now it's not the right webcam. Kelby, why don't you?
You have multiple cams.
I'm on a laptop. Of course
I agree, because I think that like if I look at the Western teams in their groups and who like they have the best matchup against as far as like who the competition for the #1 spot is, I think that Fnatic against IG, from what I know, is probably the best chance of them like sniping the #1 spot. And then I think that sniping the #1 spot is what's obviously most important as far as determining you having a good quarterfinals matchup and putting yourself in a position where you get an easier trip to semis, which is what we're talking about, right? And Fnatic, I think also, yeah, they have super good players, like individually very strong. I think Caps is like this is like potentially like his moment, like his Worlds to really like step up and perform at an international level. And yeah, I don't think there's anybody else.
But Praetor, your take was not that they are the best chance, but they are the only chance, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Team Liquid has like 1% to win KT, and KT
Yeah.
goes
Well, that's a
something
generous gift that
Yeah.
you gave us, 1%. We couldn't get 2 out of you, just 1?
I think Team Liquid's at like 6%.
1.5? Okay, we'll split the difference. 1.5% chance Team Liquid could make it. That's polite.
Are we talking about 1% chance of all realities, or like when you say between Fnatic?
This reality.
Yeah.
Well, I just mean like Fnatic versus TL, who's more likely to make it? Because I think like probably less than 1% of the time, Team Liquid in all realities makes it. But like I think compared to Fnatic, there may be like a 10-15% chance.
All right. I don't want to talk about the multiverse on this show. I think that it starts to make the predictions a little complicated. But
It's
Parallel
really
timelines.
Not really that hard to keep up.
Yeah. What? Come on, Travis. This is your first time talking about the multiverse?
Kelby, you've been using that voice way too much lately.
Oh, I was about to ask was that me?
It started because he
No.
started making fun of people playing WoW on Discord with us.
I would never.
And then specifically about
Oh,
if those people were able to
Get laid.
no!
enjoy
Wow,
casual
Mark, that's
propagation.
ridiculous.
Anyway, and so now he's just gone into it. Either way,
It's actually how I normally speak. I talk in a voice for you guys all the time, like this.
So possibilities, right? Team Liquid gets first seed by some insane chance, and then they can hopefully pick a couple of the weaker 2 seeds. Or Fnatic gets the 1 seed, Team Liquid gets the 2 seed, and Team Liquid gets Fnatic, and we get the head-to-head rematch. I think that'd be the dopest timeline.
Yeah, I agree.
The only problem is for EU fans then is that NA fans would like twist it in their mind where they're like, Fnatic had such an easy road to semis. All they had to do was beat us. And then they shit on themselves while shitting on EU.
Dude, I would love an NA EU quarterfinal matchup where one of them goes to semis.
I think it sounds really like hype, but I still think it'd be just so funny hearing the other region call the other region not good because all they had to do was beat themselves. Like that little bit of logic to me is just gonna be so funny if that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think NA versus EU to get to semis would be hype as fuck.
So I'm gonna take. I disagree with Prador that Fnatic is the West's only chance. I think anything could happen, and I think specifically Team Liquid could do something to get their way
Is
there.
Fnatic the favorite though, dude? Stop
Man,
saying
Yeah,
Travis
he didn't.
Reed.
No. He didn't say Fnatic is the best chance. He said they are the only chance.
I know, right? So I asked you, are they our best chance?
This is my summary of Travis this show. Guys, anything could happen. I'm going to take the most neutral, least controversial
How is
stance
that me?
possible.
This show, I've only done that once,
Well, you know.
and that's because the point was: is this the only way this can happen?
No,
Right,
earlier
so-
when we were talking about the 100T thing, you were like, I don't think, but I want to say, in case this ends up on Reddit, that I think that anything could happen.
So Travis, specifically, do you think who is in your mind the West's best chance for semis?
Let me look at the groups. I'm gonna pull these up. Take a look here.
Oh, Team Vitality.
Let's see. So,
Very nice.
It's basically Fnatic or TL, dude. Like you don't need
No,
to look
it's
at every
it's
group.
difficult.
What about 100T? What about Clutch?
You can see 9.
I do think Clutch
You see nine
Clutch is
can't
the
look
best
at them.
chance for the West. I don't know. Vitality. I do think they have a lot of vitality, and that's what you're going to need to be able to get through an 8-day grind for groups.
TL or Fnatic, Travis?
To be fair for Vitality, like anything could happen, right? Like, what if everybody on Genji and RNG all got food poisoning for the entire group stage?
Fnatic or TL, Travis?
Don't make me say this, Mark. Don't make me say it. Please don't
Say
make me
it
say
so that way people
I
can.
said it.
We all
It's-
say what we think. We were gonna
it's
get all gonna get
Fnatic,
shit
man.
on. Just say Fnatic. We all said Fnatic.
I love you, Peter. Fnatic has a better chance of making semis.
You know what?
If Travis
In
says
my
TL,
As always, North America got screwed on the group draw. And I think when you consider in the factors of, how we got screwed on the group draw, Fnatic is, they've got the easier path.
why was that like pulling teeth? Do you love Double Lift that much?
No, I want North America to actually do well for one fucking year, Mark. Is that so hard to believe?
We all
That
do.
somebody could
Yeah, we all
could
do.
be
It's
hopeful
just-
for North America?
Just Fnatic's more likely. That's all,
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
it is.
If we have low expectations, we can't be hurt that much, you know?
So we all agree with Prador to some degree.
All right. You won, Prador. You called in. You said your
You
thing.
asserted your big EU dick dominance over these NA plebs, but we're coming. We're coming for your talent
What
in
is
the
with
off
this
season.
language, dude?
Steve's coming with that checkbook. I want to
Use a
see
diff-
caps
use a
on an
different
NA
word.
team next
Use a
year.
different word.
What?
Please don't steal caps from us. These are
You
Fredor's
look
like, oh shit.
really good in an NA uniform, okay?
Praetor, just remember, the better your teams do, the more in demand they'll be in North America. Okay, so
Yeah.
just every
Yep.
time your one of your teams gets a win, just realize that's another zero that they're adding to the check, the salary for that player.
Yeah.
Praetor, thank you so much for the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one. People in chat saying take Mithy back. TL Caps Poggers.
Hot swap.
Okay. Moving on to the next caller. Couple of shout outs. Where were we? Vishy Thresh. I think I haven't done. Okay, Vishy Thresh sent 400 bits all day, every day, 3 months. Great War 666 was the sub. Slooty Chummy resub for 6 months. OG Maru subbed. Quickie Girl 69 Flurry Korean Vibes. Girlish Menace resub for 2 months.
Raz, why did you post that picture on Twitter?
Kevin donated $10.
I saw
Keep
you
up
in
the good
chat
work.
earlier.
Wondering if you could start Hotline League at an earlier time for people in the Eastern Time Zone from Louisville. We've tried it earlier, and the viewership is not as good. Glulix is here.
Hey, what's
Glulix, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you, Travis?
You're very quiet. Can you get a little closer to your microphone?
Yeah. Is that better?
That's way better. I also turned you up, so I think the combination worked well. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Alabama, actually.
Alabama. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Did you know that is the first state alphabetically in the listing of all 50 states?
Yes, I did know that.
well, we've all learned a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Glulix,
Okay, that was a weird silence.
where would you? What would you like to talk about on the show tonight?
Kind of in contrary to the last caller, I feel like Fnatic is a bit overhyped, like 2016 TSM was. They got a group where they drew IG, and IG barely lost to RNG in spring and summer. And Fnatic's overall record against RNG is very poor. I think they've only won one game. And at Rift Rivals, they beat in my opinion, a watered down 100 Thieves with Brandini and Levi. And I feel like Someday's just a better top laner than Brandini. No offense to him, but yeah. And also, I feel like Levi may have had some communication issues with English not being his first language. So I think 100 Thieves may be a lot stronger. And at MSI, they dropped a game to Evos. So I think it's not too crazy that Fnatic drops a game to, I guess, G-Rex or the international wildcard. So I was just wondering your guys' opinion on Fnatic being a bit overhyped.
You know what? I agree. Fnatic is overhyped. Team Liquid is our best chance to make it to quarters. I don't know what I was thinking. You're completely right.
I don't know. On paper, Fnatic I think they look pretty good, but I just have a weird feeling about it.
So one thing that I saw that was a little scary to me when I was digging into Fnatic was that they actually had a negative 1,500 goal differential at 10 or 15 in playoffs, which is a little scary. Now, 100 Thieves is not the team to exploit that at all. They suck in the early game.
Right.
For like ending games quickly. But I could see a world where, like, yeah, okay, IG 2-0s them. Maybe somehow 100 Thieves just plays them close one time, and then, like, maybe they get kaboomed. Because, remember, Group D's #1 seed has never gotten out. Or maybe it's the last 3 years hasn't gotten out.
I think it's never gotten out.
I feel like best of ones are just very volatile, so
I can see a world where, like, yeah, some wildcard team comes in, does some crazy shit.
Right, because you look at Albus Nox, what they did 2 years ago.
Or even just last year, what Gigabyte Marines did to them, because they're like, we didn't know that they were going to do weird shit. It's like, did you watch it at MSI?
Fnatic's last Worlds, their first week performance was pretty god-awful, so, you know, I feel like they may be overhyped, to say the least.
So either way, I can see a world where they're overhyped, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm there with you. I need to. there's a couple red flags maybe that I think you can point to with this team, but I don't think I'm quite ready to be like, yep, 100 Thieves is getting out over them.
I'm not saying they do get out over 100 Thieves does get out over Fnatic. I'm just saying there is that possibility that because like in 2016 everybody was like, oh, TSM, they're gonna get out, but just look what happened.
Would that mean that Europe is a really poor region then? If the best team from EU is not that good?
Well,
I don't think so.
Also, to be fair, like the negative 1500 gold CSD, like they also won on average in 30 minutes. Like they would shit on people in the mid game, as well as the fact that like SKT last year made it to finals and they had a similar stat as well heading into World Championships. I mean, obviously the Korean team, so negative 1500 versus Korean teams isn't as concerning going up against other regions. But I'm just saying that like teams sometimes are not great early game teams, and it's not like the end of the world for them because they know how to come back. And like Fnatic feels like one of those teams.
I know this isn't directly related to this, but it's on my mind right now. I just want to ask, so I don't feel bad about it. Is there a world where Cloud9 ends up in Group B and makes it out?
Pretty much no. Of everything we've talked about tonight, that is the least likely thing to have happen, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Of everything we've talked about tonight, outside of me saying like NA winning Worlds is a 10 on crazy, like C9 getting into Group B and getting out is up there.
Why?
Because one, C9 has to make it there. They have to pick up the wins that they quote unquote should get against Vitality, which, who knows if they are even expected to be favorites against Vitality. I'm not convinced, depending on what they do with their roster and if Blabber's playing well or not, because we've seen him choke in playoffs a little bit. Then you have to factor that the best Chinese team and arguably the best team in the world, RNG, is going to choke. Or Gen G, the previous world champions and like super talented, hard, badass motherfuckers who like as things get more and more tense, they seem to do better, are going to choke.
Have you seen Zazel's beard though? You're talking about hard, badass motherfuckers.
Dude, I feel like this whole call is Amnesia Town, man.
It's
like,
just, it's just, I don't like writing them off so early. I feel like there's got to be some crazy thing that could happen. It's Worlds. Crazy
anything could happen, right?
Hey guys, I'm not saying I think C9 is going to get.
Well, now I'm just leading into it. Okay, if Calvin's going to make this claim, why not? I'll be that guy.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I don't think Fnatic's overrated.
I'm not even convinced C9 is a favorite versus Vitality, and then you're telling me that they're also going to beat one of these other two. Like,
dude, what happens every single year at Worlds, guys?
And they get shit on?
Yeah, and
in the second
how
week,
does EU do?
In the second week,
marginally
no second
better.
Week.
I would say significantly better. EU's
not every time.
Well, EU made semis Misfits looked so fucking good last year, actually. Like, they took SKT to Game 5.
Yeah, and C9 took
They were
WE
up
to Game 5.
2-1.
C9 was up 2-1.
Against who?
WE. They're not as impressive.
World
SKT,
Elite? Did World Elite make the final?
SKT looked like hot poop. They were
SKT
terrible.
made the final. Okay.
They got 3-0'd by the team that 3-0'd WE.
Yeah.
What's your point?
Faker, bad player.
I don't think you can make a case that SKT was demonstrably better than WE.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you about team strength, Mark. Like, that's just, that's a losing battle. But I'm saying historically there's a trend with Europe performing better. I think that Fnatic looks really good. Not to meme. I'm actually not gonna meme on this one. I just because I'm so serious about how I think that I have a lot of belief in Fnatic and I have zero belief in 100T. None. I think that those games are going to be shit stomps.
Damn, you think they roll them?
Yes. I think that Fnatic is juiced. This
Dude,
Worlds,
what is-
I think they're coming in super highly motivated, and I just have a gut feeling 100T's motivation level is like meh,
Dude,
and that Fnatic is gonna see 100T, and you put the fucking boot on the throat, and you just push down because EU loves to beat NA.
Dude, what is this? Like, you fucking shit on EU all year, and then Worlds comes around, and you're riding their dick. Is this
Real
like
rec- Yes, you know why? Because
because
this
you don't
is
want to get
impor-
clipped?
No. Because this is important, all right? When I got that, I'm not a team owner, but I got that team owner mindset, you know? The EU players, they're watching back through the clips, and, you know, when you're approaching them in the offseason, you're like, dude, I know you've got the sauce. You need to come here, man. This is like, we can do it. This is the vision, you know? But no, in all honesty, like, they're just better. I've never denied that they're better. I've just always said that we would just buy them out, and that's fine because then they'll come to NA. They're our farm system.
That's true.
I really appreciate what Europe develops for North American viewers. I think they've produced a lot of great talents for us, and I really appreciate it. I want them to keep that legacy going. What happens if Europe stopped producing semifinals teams for NA?
Is this also assuming NA didn't start getting semifinals
Now I'm going
on their
down
own?
the meme path because you took me here.
Kelby,
Yeah.
is there anything stylistically that Fnatic does that you say they'll stomp 100 Thieves? Just out of
Yeah,
curiosity?
individually, I think that I don't think that Someday is gonna like walk all over top lane, and I think that
Right.
mid and bot are just gonna like shit on 100T in matchups. Like Double Lift and Ole, I would probably say are like on equivalent level to Fnatic spot lane, or maybe even people would say Fnatic spot lane is better. Double Lift and Ole gave 100T's bot lane the D. Just completely put them into the ground. And then you have Caps, who I think everybody is saying is like best mid in the West, maybe best player in the West. And he's going up against who?
Ryu?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Ryu.
Yeah.
Just no. Just
The only point I'll contest with Kelby in that whole
and
little rant,
they're super slow. Like Mark was saying, sorry to interrupt you, Mark. I know
Go
it's been a
for it.
trend tonight, but as Mark was saying, stylistically, they're not exploitative of Fnatic's biggest weakness because they play so slow. You need to get Fnatic early, and they're not the team to get Fnatic early. So you're gonna match up against Fnatic in their best part of the game, and they're just way better than you. 100T is the fourth best team going to Europe or going to Worlds from North America. Team Liquid wrote their fucking ticket.
the only point I'm going to change in this little rant that Kelby had was Reckless is really good. He's just not lane dominant. He's like Sven. So I don't think they'll shit on 100 Thieves bot lane because 100 Thieves bot lane plays pretty safe. So I think you'll see both bot lanes play really safe. So I think what will happen is nothing will happen unless it's Caps shitting on mid lane with the jungler, with Broxa. And then if that doesn't happen, come 15, 20 minutes, Fnatic just starts making plays all over the map on them.
Yeah.
So I agree in essence. I think Fnatic will
But I will say, it's Worlds, and anything can happen.
All right, Glulix, thank you so much for the call.
All right, thank you, Travis.
All right, before we move on, Mark, do we have a like the viewer reward system? Is that in the queue?
What?
A topic about the new viewer reward system that Riot's putting out?
No.
Oh, we don't have one in the
No
queue.
one talked about that. as far
Okay,
as I
well
can
maybe
tell.
we'll talk about it at the end of the show. It's just good to know. Secondly, I just wanted to address this. Did you guys see the interview with Quickshot that's on the subreddit?
Yes. Well, I didn't watch it. I read
You read-
the comments
Yeah,
and
yeah.
read his like clip out that everyone was talking
No.
about.
So Kelby.
Yeah.
So the quote in this is
Yeah.
I would really like to dispel that the decision was made because of budget and that it is about money. All right, that's the headline.
Wait, what are we talking about?
This is World's production is taking place in North America. The casters
Okay,
aren't
sure.
playing there, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And Quickshot did an interview and like in it he said that line.
Yeah, he said that.
Okay. All right.
And then he follows it up with, there's more to unpack. One of the big things I would like to spell was that the decision was made because of budget, and that is about money. One of the big reasons we're doing this is to stay localized, and this time in LAX because we have a phenomenal control room, insane amount of tech, tools, hardware, software, and a centralized location that we've invested millions of dollars into. He goes on and he says, blah, blah, blah. You have to rent millions of dollars of hardware for weeks and weeks on end to produce shows. Think about the graphics packages, the lighting controls, etc. Do you know what kind of software you need to root for all that? The reason I really want to try to hop on the production side is that people don't really think about what goes on. There's all these staff, all these people. You have to uplift their lives and travel 5 weeks to go to Korea and China. And then you have to, he goes in, at some point in time, he says, you have to house these people or something. He has to get, hotel rooms or something. It's just very funny because he basically got roasted by Reddit because he goes, I'd like to dispel the myth that it's all about budget and it's about money.
And then he just talks about money the
and
entire
then just
time.
talks about budget and money. Now, later
and
on...
you had 2 other Riot employees already come out and say that it's about money.
Yeah. So Quickshot says, later on, came into the thread. Later on came in the thread.
Well, they had... Sorry, go ahead.
Later on came in the thread and said, I 100% could have made this point a little bit more clear. It's not about money only. The size of our broadcast team, the hardware, the impact on personal lives, the comfort of tools and systems people work on every single LCS week. There's a lot more to consider, and that was the main thing I was hoping to get across. I just think it's really funny. I get that it's nice to not have to send people across the world. But in my mind, you're going to have these people working at 4 in the morning. Their whole schedule is going to get turned around. You cannot tell me. What's that, Mark?
I said I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's at home, dude.
You cannot tell me that putting all your production stuff with their families and their lives on a I sleep during the day and then wake up and start going to the studio at night and I'm there all night long and I come back home and sleep. That is not uprooting your lives with your families and all that stuff. So I wanted to call this out on Hotline League because I think it's such bullshit whenever people try to say that this is about all these other things. It is to the extent that then you get called out and you have to say, oh yeah, it's not about money only. So here's the thing. Yes, you can say that it's not about money only because there are always going to be extra things you can come up with well, there's this added benefit and this added benefit and this added benefit, but that's not why this is happening. It's happening because of money. So it drives me crazy because it's just very disingenuous. They are now put in this situation because of Vedius, who said on stream that it's about money. Otherwise, they would have pretended the entire time that it wasn't about money, and it drives me crazy.
So wait, you love Vedius then?
No, I don't love Vedius. I just think it's hilarious.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Vedius was the hero in this.
No. I don't think he's the hero. I'm saying that Riot got cut with their foot in their mouth, and now they have to own up to the fact that it is somewhat about money. And I think that they would have tried to pass this off as if it wasn't money the entire time, this was all part of the plan. But I just don't buy it. You are flying European casters and people to LA to cast in the middle of the night. That is what you are doing. They are uprooting their lives. I don't buy it. I don't buy that this is somehow such a better system that we've come up with. It drives me crazy.
Kelby, who was the other guy? You said 2.
Well, Derek was right. That's his.
Derek. Fear
yeah, Derek was on
who
the
posted in the.
Yeah. Which I think is I just think that probably here Quickshot got caught in some poor phrasing where I can totally understand and he's being the company guy. He's coming out and saying hey guys, it's not just a budget thing. There are other things to consider. And the way that he said it originally, it sounds like the statement. It sounds too much it's not a budget thing at all.
Yeah. And that's fine. I don't mean to, and this is, I don't know where this is going to go or what's going to happen, but, or if it'll just be YouTube comments or something, or if Quickshot, we'll see this later. I don't mean to call out Quickshot, even though I get that that's how it is. My frustration is not with Quickshot. My frustration is with the way that this has been packaged up and presented, because you kind of my frustration is at the messaging, because I've seen this in multiple places.
Yeah.
The messaging is, oh, well, we don't want to have to uproot and travel all these people, but like you are sticking them on a crazy ass schedule, like, and that doesn't get responded to. All right, like, great, you have this great control room. You can get those tools elsewhere. You're referencing that you can buy, you can like rent that stuff. So the real thing that you're really leaning on is that you don't want to uproot all these people, and it's like better experience for podcast crew. I just don't see how it is. You're putting them on a very unnatural schedule. They're like going to sleep when the sun is coming up, and then meanwhile you've got your casters casting in empty rooms.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it.
Riot is making the 100T mistake right now, or made the 100T mistake, or didn't even do it, but like had the unfortunate circumstances of dealing with the fallout from the Vedius thing of like not controlling the messaging around something that's actually really important. Like 100T doesn't control the messaging around their roster things, and they let players go out and say whatever. And Riot, unfortunately, thanks to Vedius's comment and it getting the traction and then also not responding appropriately, is now I think dealing with a much harder situation than if they would have just like initially come out and said, hey, this is the change, this is the logic behind it, cons, pros.
Yeah.
Hope you guys understand we're excited for Worlds.
So Alex Shepard 99 says Travis Gafford is the personification of Reddit bronze critique of Riot. And then I see other people in here who say, oh, Matt Goody says, chill, I go to sleep as the sun rises too. We've got a couple callers we got to get through in the next 15 minutes. But I have an open invitation here. If you feel like this is a good decision, call in and let's talk about it.
Oh, boy.
Let me tell you about, Travis, why I love it. I get to go home and sleep in my bed every night.
Yeah.
I enjoy being nocturnal. The end.
Mark, they never send you to Worlds anyway. This doesn't change anything for you.
Wait, are you not going to Worlds this year, Mark?
Mark can't say anything because he's the broadcast
sorry.
talent hasn't been announced yet.
Oh, okay, gotcha. My bad.
Secondly,
not trying to get
they don't normally send him to Worlds. He usually they bring in the full-time employees.
Mark, I think you're worthy of going to Worlds.
Me too, dude. I think I'm better than every single other person who appears on camera for Riot Games.
It's not about being better. I just think that you're worthy of going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see this time.
Yeah.
I live right down the street, Riot. Let me know.
Yeah. GW's Chaos. Well, that's the last thing I'll say before we go grab the next person. Not to defend Riot, because I think they are wrong for not being on site, but I think you grossly underestimate just how expensive it is to have to rent all that equipment and use all that equipment on site. I do not underestimate it at all. While I was at Yahoo, I learned tremendous amounts of information about just the obscene cost that it takes to get a satellite truck, to get the equipment, etc. My frustration, again, is that this is being presented, or that this is being presented as more than a cost-saving thing. It's fine if it's a cost-saving thing. I disagree with it, but like at least it's understood that it's a cost-saving thing. I just disagree with sort of the other ways in which this has been presented. Anyway, let's move on to the next caller. Mark, you want to go grab somebody? Let's see. Full in Time subbed with a Twitch sub. Double JJS subbed with Twitch Prime. Rush Come Home Bible Thump for 10 months. I love that. Lonely Link HS has subbed. Mr. Man 3 subbed. And I Am Elvis 4 resub for 7 months. Great show. You started on time. Also, this resub was in hopes for Kelby to share the world story from being #1 wingman. It was just an inside joke. I don't want anything. Wait, it's not. There's no story there. We've got Dojoof the Mojo.
You don't have to lie to people, Travis. You can just say that you're not comfortable with that story being shared.
Kelby, we're trying to move on to the next caller.
Wait, what's going on? Everyone's spamming Rush and sad faces.
Yeah, somebody's named Come Home Rush subbed. Dojo of the Mojo is calling. Where are you calling from, Dojo of the Mojo?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. And what do you want to talk about in the show tonight?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about C9's eventual decision on a 6-man roster, and specifically that I think it would be best if they left Spinskarin off of it. I have a couple reasons for this. The first is that the meta seems like it's moving in more of a skirmishy direction, with things like Thresh and Pike getting buffs, Assassins being higher priority, and also champions like Zillion and Galio that enable aggressive team comps to be played more effectively being picked more. And I think Blabber being strong on champions like Nocturne, Kindred, Camille, and things of that nature, which Sven has not shown to be as effective on, is more conducive to C9 succeeding. And then the other reason is that we've seen with Blabber's playstyle that he can play around all three lanes in a more proactive manner than Sven can, especially around like top side for sure. We saw it in the regular season and then again in the gauntlet with like that Nocturne head combo that was just disgusting. Rest in peace headband. Um, but yeah, just because of his ability to be more proactive around all lanes and play carry junglers and just sort of be more in your face, I think he gives C9 a better chance to succeed and like force other teams to play more defensive and place more defensive vision, and like that limits their proactive.
Mark?
So,
Oh, Kelvin.
so you want to leave Golden Glue at home?
Right. No, he wants to take Golden Glue, right? He wants to leave
Or
Sven?
excuse me, he wants to leave Sven at home?
Yeah,
Yes,
he wants to
yeah,
take Golden Glue.
Ooh.
I want to take Golden Glue. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's so risky.
Yeah, because from what we saw out of everything from the end of the season, when both people were kind of getting some playing time, in the regular season through playoffs and Gauntlet, I think I agree with what you're saying. Where like C9 absolutely looks their best when Blabber is performing, but we've seen him struggle in playoffs a little bit. We've seen Golden Glue struggle in playoffs. We've seen Jensen look completely fine in all situations, and we've also seen Golden Glue's champ pool is not super different, whereas it does feel like Sven and Blabber do have those two very different champ pools. So to me, I don't think I agree. I think Blabber. I think if C9 have any chance of making noise at Worlds and like doing shit, it's going to be off the fact that Blabber steps up and has like a Contracts-esque performance, like we saw last year when Contracts was on like Ezreal and Graves in the jungle. And if he can't do that, I don't think the Sven Garen roster is like inventive enough and crazy enough to do stuff. But I still think you bring Sven on the off chance that like, you know, he chokes and he's just not playing well, and you have to swap things up. So I think Jensen looks like he works well with both.
Right, right. I guess my one counterpoint to that would be that Golden Glue had a winning record in the playoffs, and Jensen did not. Jensen went 1-4, and Golden Glue was 2-1. Like he played those 3 games on Malzahar and looked pretty good. And I actually go ahead.
That's you could say the same thing with Blabber. Basically, Blabber lost a bunch of games in playoffs too.
But then what about the Gauntlet?
That was Jensen and Blabber as well.
Yeah, Jensen. But
Jensen looked like a god for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't care about a win rate when you're talking about pods, right? So like, what's his name? Blabber was like 1-4 or 0-3 in the games that he was playing, and Jensen was like 5-1. So I don't care that Jensen lost those games when his jungler was doing nothing that we had seen out of him for the first 8 games he played. I don't hold that against Jensen. So I don't think the win rate should matter very much of that.
Regardless, I think that C9 is impacted the most by the limit to the roster in going to Worlds, and it's kind of sad for me that I feel like all those guys deserve to go, and they're not all gonna get to go. I really wish that they could all go, but you know, it is what it is.
I mean, there's a lot of rosters that had pretty big lineups.
Yeah, but they like actually like rotated, like at least in NA. C9 like used the depth of their roster more than anybody else by far.
Well, definitely. I mean, I think no one will dispute the fact that in North America, they're the ones that are disadvantaged by the rule. But I don't know. I guess my only take on this topic would be, I think heading into Worlds, you've seen Golden Glue start to show like a glimmer of coming out of sort of like the weird shell that he or the community or everybody had put him in. I don't know if that's enough to bring him instead of Sven, who I think has far more international experience, especially whenever Jensen is generally considered like a pretty consistent, strong mid laner. I don't know. It feels like a too big of a risk to sort of make that decision. So, I don't know. That is my take. Dojo, thank you so much for your call. We have to hurry along because we got 3 more callers, but I will. I want to thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, have a good one.
The one
Thanks,
thing
dude.
to throw in here at the end is I just think C9 will. It sounds like based on what we heard in the regular season, the playoffs, it sounds like they use scrim results pretty heavily and who they decide to use. So like, if Blabber goes and they're scrimming good international teams and Blabber is popping off and doing well, I could see a world where they're just like, Blabber, we 100% believe in you. You're the guy. We're bringing Jensen and Golden Glue. But that would 100% hinge on how scrims went.
Alex Shepard 99 donated $5 and says this is a spicy content I sub for. Mark, bring our next victim.
Alrighty. Wait, did you add someone to it?
I mean, I extended an open invitation and somebody took me up on it.
All right, I'll do them last then.
Okay. As Mark is getting the next caller, wondering why Skype is blinking. How's it going, Twitch chat? Just want to say I really appreciate all you guys. You're the best. You make the show so fun. Hey, Knox is here. Knox, where are you calling from?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Another St. Louis. It seems like we're getting a lot of calls from the same area. Knox, what do you want to talk about in the show tonight?
A lot of hot takes, so let's just drop one. C9 is going to be the only one making it to semis because of their innovation, like Heckram Top, the Zillion Kindred. And you can't really plan for that in a best of 1. You can in a best of 5, so I think they'll make semis. I don't think they'll win it. Let's say,
semis?
Yeah, semis.
Are you trolling us, dude? It's okay. Like if you got on the show and like, you know, you're just like, hey, I made it on air, like thing, it's gonna be really funny. We're trolling, you know, Mark and Kelby and Travis. Let's see how they take it. That's fine. You got us.
No, Knox is making
The reason behind that is because I think, like, don't get me wrong, I think Doublelift is an amazing player, but I think overall, like, Team Liquid, they're too one style, and I think too many teams can beat them at their one style, where it's get Doublelift fed and protect them. I think a lot of the teams can beat them at their own style and take advantage of mid and top. I think Smithy's actually going to do really well and just be consistent. And then, as has been said with the 100 Thief hate chat, too slow. So unless they step that up and someday just goes God mode.
You're kind of cutting out a little bit.
But how does Cloud9 make it out of their group?
I think they're going to have like some surprise picks and kind of cheese their way out.
Who doesn't cheese their way out of an RNG Gen.G group? It sounds very intimidating. Who doesn't make it, Gen.G or RNG?
I'm going to go RNG.
RNG doesn't make it.
Woo! Let's go! All right.
Yeah, I mean, that one's kind of a 50-50, but...
And then, so wait, are they getting first in the group, or are they going to get second and then beat a 1 seed from another group?
And then beat a 1 seed.
Okay, so they are beating they're making it into the Group B. They're beating RNG through their next level cheese after getting 3-0'd by TL in the final, and then they are beating the 1 seed from another group in the quarterfinals to make it to semis.
And that's only dependent on, like, Blabber continues what he did in Gauntlet and not what he did against TSM.
So it's all based on Blabber. You're betting big on Blabber.
Yeah, you know, the 18-year-old rookie, no pressure or anything.
You would have been able to, like, get me excited if you said, like, I think some funny shit's gonna happen in Gauntlet and somehow C9 won't get into Group B.
You mean play-ins?
Excuse me, play-ins, right?
Make it Group B, but that's kind of, I think, the most likely. If they don't, that's awesome. Like, they could kind of purposely lose. I don't know if that's a thing they would even think about.
Knox, what do you think is the likelihood of your scenario arising?
30%.
30%.
30%.
Basically a 1 in 3 shot.
How much C9 merch do you own?
Yeah, dude.
They have, Immortals.
You've got Immortals?
He's got old Immortals merch.
All right, you don't believe it? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I will agree with some of the stuff Knox is saying. Like, they have the weirdest play style, and like they'll pull out new shit more so than any other team. Like 100 Thieves and TL are super like, this is how we play the game, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
They're good, and that's not really great for surprising people in a best of one. Like Team Liquid's basically going to be like, like a stat check boss. Like if they can beat whoever comes out and mad and they don't choke, they should be fine. C9 is the team that can actually like pull upsets against teams better than them. And 100 Thieves and TL, I don't really think can that often, but like,
Sure, yeah.
I don't think Group B, you have to pull off crazy ass upsets, not just like once and then you can beat a bunch of teams underneath you. Like there is no one underneath you coming in. There's no free wins for C9 and Group B.
Yeah.
TL might get some free wins, or 100 Thieves might get some free wins depending on who shows up. So like that's where you lose me. Not that like C9. I would say C9 might be the best chance of upsetting someone of all the North American teams in a best of one.
Sure.
But to do it over 6 games, it's just no.
Knox, how do you
I don't
think
think
Knox
gonna really prepare for them? Because
Knox-
kind of how can you, especially when you don't know the roster?
I don't think they need to.
Right, like
Knox, how do you think the Uzi and Sneaky matchup is going to go?
That depends on Zazel. Completely. Can kind of keep it even, then recently, like as long as they don't just feed their ass off.
Well, I agree as long as they don't. Mark,
we need to start keeping callers accountable, man.
Mark, we need
30... to log calls and opinions.
Mark, Knox puts it at 30%. What do you put this scenario at? What's your percentage on it?
Didn't I say earlier that like C9 getting out of groups was one of the craziest things we had said on the night?
Yeah. So they're getting out, RNG's not going, and C9's getting out in the first seed.
Well, so like forgetting all the stipulations like first seed in this team, I mean, just C9 getting out at all to me is like 1% or lower. Probably lower.
Can I ask you a hypothetical, Mark?
Sure.
What do you think is more likely? C9 making semis or TL making finals?
C9 making semis. Because if C9 can get out of the group, they're probably good enough to beat a lot of other 1 seeds.
Yeah, but that's like a big... This is like the whole clutch making waves at Worlds thing. Like, they have to make it to Worlds to make waves.
Right. Well, I just don't think...
Which is a big if.
Yeah, I don't see a North American team making finals at all.
Well, yeah. I don't see C9 making semis.
Well, like, I can see a world where, like, crazy shit happens and somehow C9 gets a free ride in quarters. Yeah. But then when you get to semis, like, you're legitimately always going up against such a monstrous team in semis.
Yeah.
And
I'm asking you to evaluate decimal points here.
They're winning semis at all. They'll probably get stomped.
This
is so interesting because you think that they're good enough to make it out of the group and beat a 1 seed, which means like that they're just good.
Right, like,
and then they get stomped at semis?
Why stop at semis?
Yeah,
like,
I wouldn't stop
can do that. Like,
if they can beat RNG...
I think the semis draw is going to be like just absolute destroying them.
But they would have gone through 3 top teams.
Well, to be fair to Knox, he did say that they would do well because they're hard to plan for in a best of 1. So maybe he starts losing faith in the best of 5. But I don't know, dude.
Just the pressure on Blabber and Zazel, and even Licorice. Like everyone, I think even me is forgetting Licorice is still a rookie. Like these guys have never really played on the big stage until finals this year.
You're talking yourself out of.
I know.
Now he's talking his way out of it.
Man
everything before this is fine, but he's like, well, they aren't rookies.
So Travis, what do you think are the odds of this happening? Are you willing to take a definitive stance?
Well, listen, Kelby, let me tell you. Peter, he said, the odds of us making, I think, finals or semifinals, just something like that. He said in the interview that I did with him after he won semifinals, he said it would be a miracle. But you know what he said after that, Kelby? He said, but it's Worlds. Miracles happen at Worlds. And so that's what I'm saying. Anything could happen. Knox is Knox's supposition here. It's fine. By the way, I just want to say
miracles happen at Worlds. By the way,
I do. Well, what about TPA? I do want to say, by the way, that this is why this show is the best. This show is the best because on the dive, there's gonna be like really boring standard, like, oh yeah, Group B, Cloud9's gonna have a hard time. All right, this is the only show where you get shit like 30% chance of them beating RNG and making it out of first. Okay, like this is where you get the fun stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, this is where you get the good stuff, dude. Like, this is where like the fans still like you feel the passion and the love for their scene. Like everyone who called in, like the Finnish guy was like, fucking Fnatic's gonna make semis. The Dire Wolves OPL guy is like, yeah, we're gonna do great. Now we got the NAC9 fan. We're gonna fucking kill it. Like, this is what I love about fandom that, like you said, you just don't get on that other shitty show, The Dive.
Yeah. No, I mean, Knox, I will say this is a fantastic conversation topic. I just think you're crazy.
Hey, Knox, thank you so much for calling in.
Anytime. Have a great one, guys.
And by the
Thanks,
way,
dude.
congratulations on when you inevitably are right. And this is like the number one thing
Dude,
on
you-
the League of Legends
yeah.
subreddit of all
Flip it.
time.
You will
Flip
be
it,
a
you know, I'll
prophet
be back.
god.
Yeah.
I'll be back either
Or
way.
you'll just be like everybody else who's wrong and never brings
Like
this up
this
again.
again.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Now clip it. I'll be back and show like the disappointed and the hurt feelings and everything.
Yeah.
All right, I'll catch you later.
That's the
Swinging
nice thing.
Swinging for the fences.
That's the nice thing about being a fan when you have a crazy prediction like this is like when you get it right, it gets posted on the subreddit like 3 more times over the course of the year. Like that fucking guy who was like TSM's not making finals at all this year.
Yeah. Was that Shampoo?
I forget.
But there was somebody who also said that, what was it? There was some take that I clipped out about how C9 wasn't going to make it into playoffs, and that one got linked around a little bit too. By the way, Cyronic Maestro subbed with Twitch Prime. Crazy Korean 63 gifted a sub to Rivington, and Stahill gifted a sub to Razzleplasm. Interesting thing, Rivington and Razzleplasm. It's September. For just $1, you can continue that sub, that gifted sub. Isn't that so nice? Isn't that so nice? We're only about 24 subs out from my sub goal for the night. It's not up on screen, but you just got singed. Used Twitch Prime. Thank you. You just got singed. Wayward is here. Wayward, where are you calling from?
I'm from Iowa.
Iowa. You've been on the show before.
No, I've played with you at WoW and stuff. I'm one of James's friends.
Normally, I just use like the user volume.
Shit, yeah.
Option.
I totally did not even connect the dots.
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up?
Well, either way, thank you for being a Twitch Prime sub. And thank you for carrying me in WoW. Both of those things are mutually appreciated. What would you like to talk about on the show tonight?
So, I had my topic picked out, and then you kind of like also threw down the gauntlet, which ties to it. My topic is that I think that Worlds is actually a hindrance to the profitability of professional League of Legends. So I think that the fact that they didn't have MasterCard before this and they were essentially doing this on their own made it so that all of the other regional finals and things like NA, EU, Korea, more or less didn't matter except for their seeding and their way to Worlds. So it left out the opportunity to sell out their promotional spots for their other individual regions and actually promote those brands. And they also have been promoting both the Riot Games and LoL Esports brand, which has created an issue with, I don't know if they're doing family branding or individual branding, to where they just cause enough confusion that their own top-notch tournament is actually a hindrance to their own ability to make money.
I'm a little confused. You're saying that because Worlds wasn't sponsored before, it affected LCS's ability to get sponsors?
Because Worlds wasn't sponsored before, it led them to make decisions like the one that they did this year, where people aren't going over. They're not casting on site.
Okay.
But ultimately, the presence of the championship, Worlds, is actually making it so that the other championships, the other finals and regional competitions don't matter as much, so it's harder to sell those spots
to sponsors.
Just one
to sponsors. Yeah.
One minor correction: Worlds has been sponsored. Like they had the Acer Predator stuff and a couple other things for the English broadcast. And I think the other language broadcasts all had their own.
Yeah, China usually has
as
a
well.
ton of different sponsors, is my understanding. Like I think last year, Sprite sponsored and maybe like a vehicle. So China usually gets sponsors. The MasterCard thing is unique in that it's the first global sponsor. So
Right.
it's not specifically limited to a specific language. It's that you'll see MasterCard ads on every language broadcast, to my knowledge, all around the world. So, oh yeah, Mercedes, says Itchy the Bear. So that's what's unique about this. But it's not that they haven't sold Worlds before. It's that they just, this is the first global one. Does that change your argument at all, Wayward?
No, because that, like, the argument before was more pertaining to what you were saying about, like, you know, this World's the decision to not cast on site being an issue. I'm saying that, like, not having a global sponsor like that, and one that the numbers aren't really released on, but is, like, fair to say is probably very considerable in size, probably very much contributed to their decision to not go abroad for most of it.
Kelby, you're kind of
I'm super confused. I don't. Wait, how does the? Are you saying that the MasterCard sponsor for World Championships interferes with the ability for them to sell an A?
No, I'm saying that the fact that they basically they award NA finals and then immediately just like check that under the bus, it doesn't even matter. They're going to Worlds. Like the fact that they take whoever wins NA, and honestly, it doesn't even have to be the winner of NA to take first. Well, I guess that does technically qualify as first seed, but like they more or less don't care about who wins each split. They care about what it does to Worlds. The fact that they put that much emphasis.
You say
on
they
Worlds,
mean Riot.
Yeah. The fact that Riot puts that much emphasis on Worlds makes it harder to sell.
Okay, so the Riot
for the other regions.
the Riot Worlds brand undermines the prestige of summer finals for each of the different regions.
Yeah.
So that is an argument that I've heard before, not usually in relation to brands, right? Which is that, hey, things feel great in North America when TSM wins summer finals. Everybody gets excited. You lift up these champions, and then you send them off to Worlds, and they fucking lose. And Worlds is like undermining NALCS finals in that way. Like it doesn't feel as great whenever you go watch your teams lose. You're saying specifically that the Worlds brand degrades the LCS finals and LCS championship brand by existing. That brands can't get in on the most prestigious thing by sponsoring sponsoring the summer finals. Instead, they have to get in on Worlds, and that makes it less likely for people to spend on summer finals. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, Kelby, do you understand at least the argument he's making?
Yeah. I think. I just I think it's an interesting perspective, and I could see why you could maybe get there. The thing that you have to consider, though, is I will start off by saying that I think that I would disagree with you. The second thing that I would say is, like, if you take away the World's narrative, what does that do to everything else, and how does that impact the sustainability of the league, the viewership of the league, fan engagement and interest, and then is that impact then something that diminishes the North American and all the regional products to a state where they are less valuable? I get what you're saying, where, like, because the regional tournaments are not the penultimate tournaments, like, it's more difficult for us to monetize this specific region because winning the championship in North America isn't as important. But that's not how every esport does that, right? Like, unless you have a global league, which, I mean, was what you would say for like CS:GO and Overwatch, is that they're essentially global competitors. I personally have never come across a scenario in my sales efforts where like a brand pushed back because, oh, this team is good, but like if they win NA, like it doesn't really matter because they're gonna go to Worlds and lose. Um, yeah, like you want to capture eyeballs of a region. Most budgets that you have for sponsorships are regional. It's actually super rare that you're able to activate globally with a brand like Riot has been able to do with Mastercard. Most of the time, the stuff that you're activating in esports is like U.S. focused, because a lot of the brands even that you're dealing with, we haven't like reached market penetration where we're dealing with global non-endemic brands most of the time, like you'd see in traditional sports where like people are interested in activating across like all over the world. So like they care about NA eyeballs, and when you care about NA eyeballs, you tend to be more focused on the NA region, and then like the stuff that comes along with Worlds happens to be the sprinkling on top. And you would have to make the argument in my mind that because Worlds exists, viewership for NA like tournaments and broadcast matches aren't as high as they would be if Worlds did not exist, because then fans would be more likely to tune in because like this is the big event. Ultimately, people are looking to capture a certain number of eyeballs, right? In my mind, whatever is best for the viewership of a region is what going to drive the most sales value around it. And I think because the world's narrative exists and because it fits into the whole ecosystem, that NA viewership is higher as opposed to like if it was just all regionalized and we had no global final.
So yeah, I agree with you for like most of it. The only place where I slightly disagree is that I think the emphasis that Riot puts on Worlds and the emphasis that they put on that brand makes it so that the others aren't at all very interesting, and like they don't do anything. Like you could even do regional flares in the client for the 3 months in the off season or something like that for the winners.
Are you saying for Riot's ability to get sponsors for NALCS finals or EULCS finals in particular, or are you saying for region's ability to monetize?
Well, it would absolutely impact the finals in particular, but I believe that it might have enough impact to actually affect the rest as well. Because and the reason I say that is because if they were to do something that actually made those finals impactful, like some kind of flare in the client for a couple of months or something like that, it would also make those franchises more valuable, and it would make those franchises something that could more easily sell. So I guess that wouldn't directly influence Riot. Those sponsors may not approach Riot directly unless I don't know the details of those franchise deals. But
then
I don't
go
think
ahead.
All three of us just said
yeah. I was gonna say I don't think an outside sponsor is gonna not see TL in the league client at being the NALCS champions and then decide that they're not worth sponsoring or that the NALCS is not worth sponsoring them.
So conversely, I can tell you that when I've talked to sponsors before, sponsors get really excited when their team qualified. Like we're now talking about the team thing, but I can just pretty easily dispense with that because I can tell you that sponsors get really excited whenever their teams are going to Worlds because there's like a ton of cool stuff that they get to do around that. Team Liquid is selling a special Worlds jersey with like sponsor logos on that. How exciting for the sponsor that like now people are buying this brand. Like they get to do extra content around it. Like whenever what was it, Rift Rivals or MSI, one of the two. I think it was Monster who sponsors both Fnatic and TL. Did a like Reckless and Double If sit down content piece. Like those are just really cool moments that like yes they could do stuff around finals, but having all this extra stuff. So from a team perspective, it's not there. I honestly think that like this MasterCard deal is probably more meaningful in a lot of ways than anything that could happen in North America alone. And so I disagree with the idea that like you're losing out on North American sponsors at a higher level than you're gaining from like world sponsorship.
Yeah, and it sounds like Wayward too, in talking to you further, maybe you think as well that you just feel not necessarily that, and I could, please correct me if I'm wrong, but as we're talking about it, not necessarily that Worlds is what's holding other stuff back, but that Riot is just not giving enough credence or attention or validation to winning your regional final because, like, you know, they're not doing the thing in the client like you suggested for winning or driving enough narrative, reward, or story around being your regional champion. We just immediately segue into Worlds, and if your team doesn't perform there, it's like, for what?
Yeah, they're so focused on the world's product that they neglect opportunities that they could give to promote their regional ones. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, Mark.
I don't know where you're gonna go, Travis. I'm gonna say I think I agree with what we were saying a little bit. Where like it would be nice if more regional stuff was developed, but the problem is most of that stuff, and this is I'm not an actual spokesperson of Riot, so I might mess up some of the terminology here, but like all that stuff needs to go through Central. Like if you're gonna put a skin in for the game,
Yeah.
I think like even if it's only a regional skin, which I don't even know if those exist, I think they do. But even if it's only a regional skin, I still think it needs to go through Central, and then like you start taking up a really large portion of bandwidth for like a skins creation team, if like or whatever it is in client stuff. Like if each region then needs to have a product built out for them, because League has a fuckload of regions, and it's a little unfair to be like we're only doing it for major regions, because then
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you got to do it for every region to make all their regions feel important. And then like suddenly you have created like instead of having one product you do one time a year, you now made like so much extra shit that like is almost unfeasible.
Hey, we gotta move on to the next caller, but thank you very much, Wayward, for a very thoughtful conversation. It was a little hard for us to get into at first, but I think it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, Travis, go pull this guy that you want to have the debate with.
Wait, you pull him.
Why?
Let me get my ice cream real quick.
Everyone's gonna hear like if I go into his channel and it gets just do the normal check. By the way, a ton of people came in with some Twitch Prime subs. You got Singed, Renschitz 985, James K. Polk, Round Trip 42, Flazatron, My Moose is Loose, Dark Magic 39, Sherlock Holmes 10, LO Kato, and Bilbo Swaggins. We are 16 subs away from my goal for this evening. And on the show, we have Casual Gamer King. Casual Gamer King, have you been on the show before?
I have not. This is my first time.
Okay. You're listening to Spotify's Ambra by Nils
That's for my
Fromm.
daughter.
What's that?
That's for my daughter. That's piano music.
Oh, that's really cute. Okay. What? I didn't know if that was like your ramp-up music for this conversation. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay, cool. We've had a couple Salt Lake City, Utah people on. Okay, so what is your take? Because you wanted to challenge me on this, and I'm happy to have a respectful, fun conversation with you about it.
I decided to take you up on that offer to discuss. I think that it's really not a big deal that they're casting from NA. And the main reason is because I don't think it's going to affect the quality of the stream that much. I think that, one, they're really professional about it, but two, almost all of the crowd noise that you hear is specifically tailored for you to hear it by an audio designer. And like, even if I'm home alone watching the league, I yell in really intense moments, and I think the casters will do the same. And I think that you're just not going to notice a huge difference in the quality. And so as a result, I think it's a good thing if they can save money and still get the same quality. Then why wouldn't you want to save some money?
Sure. Okay. Hey, that's fair. I agree completely with the idea that like if you can get the same quality, you can save the money, nobody notices, you should not worry about it. My only concern is that kind of breaks out a little bit. The only thing I could see is the perception that occurs whenever you know that the casters and the analyst desk are not at the event. I think it's sort of like watching something live. A lot of people hate to watch VODs. I hate watching VODs. I love watching stuff live. Even though the experience is the same, the knowledge that this thing that is happening is not as immediate, that sort of creates this experience in your mind that like it's less enjoyable. I worry that the audience will know that the casters are not there, that when they're at the analyst desk, it's actually taking place in like a studio in LA in the middle of the night. And so I worry a little bit about that perception. But let's just set that aside for a second because maybe I'm wrong about that. I think time and time again, for me, I've heard multiple times where the casters have said on the broadcast, on air, hey, oh my gosh, you can feel the emotion from this crowd. From like literally like sitting in those arenas, you can feel the crowd shake, right? When I'm in Paris, we would do like the area where the media sit is underneath the bleachers, and it like shakes. It feels like there's an earthquake happening, and that translates so much to the enthusiasm. Like there were moments where I would get up out of my seat and run out into the audience just to see that stuff happen. And I think that stuff carries into the casters. And while I know that there have been one or two casters who have come out and said that like they're not as worried about this, the league casters, I think that there's been a lot more silence from a lot of the other casters. I know that at least one of the guys on the dive said that they were disappointed in the decision. And I've also seen a ton of people from other esports come out and say that they, like other casters say like how disappointing this is, and that from their experience there's like a ton of value that you derive from being in the arena. And then setting aside the arena stuff, I actually think that there's a ton of value that the casters get from being in and around this stuff. For instance, the casual conversations that the casters and the analyst desk can have backstage with the players that they reference sometimes on broadcasts, that's like information and context that you just don't get if they're all the way in LA. So this is a lot of the reason that I have. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that stuff.
I agree that whether the casters will be able to be as hyped not on scene will kind of have to be a wait and see moment. I'm not convinced. I think that for the live feel, it'll still feel live. It'll just, it might feel more like, I'll watch League with my brother sometimes. We both get really excited watching next to each other. And I think that they can be just as hyped. And in the really hype moments when it's going to really matter, that you want to hear the loud crowd noise and you want to get the casters really hyped, they'll be hyped. I do see your point that during some of the down times, perhaps in between games, when you might notice the crowd more in the background, or they might have discussions with players off the sides, that might be impacted. But I just don't think that it will be as big of a deal as many people think, that it's not the end of the world. And if they can save a bunch of money, then it's good for the health of the league.
Yeah. So I'll set aside, or I want to get to the money thing really quickly, but really quickly, like, I think it's not even just the moments in between the games. And I know everybody knows he's my roommate. I haven't had any conversation with him about like this specific moment I'm about to bring up, right? One of my favorite casting moments that I hear over and over and over again in my head is Kobe saying, "And the faithful shall be rewarded." Whenever CLG, like, it became clear that they were in 3-0 TSM, Madison Square Garden 2015, like the craziest esports event I've ever been at. And his voice like echoing out across the arena, the crowd like sort of lifting up what he was saying. I think that drove him in that moment in a way. And again, trust me, I had this conversation with him. But for me, the perception is at least that affected him. And I cannot imagine him sitting in like a cold, empty studio with like one or two camera people looking at him, having that same level of energy and enthusiasm. But let's say, I think you said like, yeah, there might be moments, but even that's still okay. For me, because they'll save the money, for me, it is frustrating because I don't think they needed to save the money. this is the funny thing that like had they done things better. The funny thing and strange thing about this conversation is that it rapidly spirals out of a dialogue around caster enthusiasm and caster presentation at these events and like analyst desk presentation, and it becomes this other conversation about money and about Riot's ability to monetize their product. And I think for several years they made very little effort to do that. They made a bet on BAMTech, and whether because of them or because of BAMTech, that fell through. They seemingly didn't have much of a backup for it. And so I don't think they should, if at the end of the day, they should, we admit that there's some sort of thing that is lost in this, and that it's lost in the effort of saving money. My frustration is that we have to save this money in the first place because they could have made better decisions that would have put us in a better financial situation, and now I worry that fans will suffer because of it. And I think, I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit here, but like my frustration about the caster stuff, it's kind of like the final, I don't know, was it like the icing on the cake or whatever, in a year where it feels to me that we have seen a great deal of budget cuts coming out from Riot, in a year where we have seen like Overwatch League secure a ton of sponsors, put on great presentations, in a year where we have seen like Fortnite find innovative ways to put on events. And it's disappointing to me to see budget cuts affect this stuff so much. And the caster stuff just feels like one of the worst ways that it's affected it. Sorry, I don't know if I went like too long there.
No, I get your point, and I think part of me says I'll have to wait and see whether it's really noticeable. I guess I just see that I think that this is kind of a natural consequence of the growth of the league. I think it's almost inevitable. I mean, most major things, a lot of the Olympics is cast from the U.S. There are a lot of major organizations that do most of their casting from across the world, and that as League grew more and as Riot got a better foundation and a better studio in the US, and casters and the production crew got more experienced and are able to do this in a professional way, that as it gets bigger, that it makes sense that all but the finals, and probably perhaps in the future all but the semifinals and the finals, are casted not on scene. And I think it's kind of a natural progression of the scene getting bigger and needing to be more smart about where you spend your money.
Yeah, I just worry, or I just don't want this to be like the Olympics. And I don't think it needs to be, is what I would say. Like, I don't think just because we've seen it in those cases be back, like, there's a lot of other ways to monetize this league in this Worlds. And I think they could pull enough levers here in an appropriate way to come out even on this stuff, or maybe even turn a profit. Sorry, Mark, you were going to say something?
I was going to wrap it all up.
Okay, because Mark wants to leave. It's 10:30.
To conclude the conversation, Casual Gamer King believes in the professional ability of the casters and broadcast team to still deliver a good product to the average viewer who, if they don't think about the overarching environment problems that Travis has brought up, will not negatively impact the broadcast that much, right? If I could summarize the debate.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's that, and I think honestly, like, a lot of this, just my final thing here is like, if it does affect the broadcast, if it only affects it a little bit, my disappointment is that we have to save this money because of decisions Riot made in the past several years to get us to this point.
Right, like I think the environment concerns and all the stuff you're talking about. I don't know if environment's the right term. Habitat around the decision sucks balls.
Yeah.
But
this was probably not the year to make this decision. I think you take it on the chin and then try to do it next year, if you're going to do it.
And a lot of this debate right now is hinging kind of on the assumption that the broadcast team is going to pull this off, no hitches. But like, I mean, imagine what fan backlash will be if there's noticeable downgrades in quality of the broadcast from not being on site. Like, then all this other stuff that we're supposing is going to go fine is suddenly worse.
Casual Gamer King, thank you so much for calling in. I really do appreciate your take, and by the way, I think it's a very valid one. Like, if we don't see much of an effect on this stuff, I think, it won't be that big of a deal. Nobody will talk about it. I'll look like an idiot, and then this will just be the way it goes every year. I just worry about that, so we'll see. But either way, thank you so much for calling in. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, have a good one. All right, that wraps up the show. Kelby, how you doing over
What's
there?
up? I'm doing great.
Yeah.
What kind of ice cream was that? Was that Rocky Road?
No, Ben & Jerry's Fish Food, which is my personal favorite.
What's in fish food?
Fish food is chocolate ice cream with gooey marshmallow swirls, caramel swirls, and fudge fish.
Yum.
It's delicious.
We should have done Ben & Jerry's. Let's do Ben & Jerry's right now. We
local
got 2
fundraising?
minutes. Just give me 2 minutes. Kelby, how would you pitch Ben & Jerry's on esports?
You
I'd
like
like to take
selling
this-
shit to fat people? We got fat people.
All right,
Let's
that's
go.
not. Well, that's definitely not it.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's just take a step back. Pretend that didn't happen. Kelby, how do you sell Ben & Jerry's to esports?
Travis, this is an exercise in futility. I'd prefer that I not spend my time thinking or caring about this. I'd like to do my shout outs and get ready mentally for Travis and Kelby to Total War Warhammer 2 co-op campaign Tuesdays and Thursdays. Wow, it got really...
Hey, I think World's viewing rewards are great, by the way. A bunch of people are complaining about it or saying they want it for like the other
Oh, we
things
didn't
that
even
they've done.
talk about it.
I think
It
it's
didn't
really
come
good.
up.
I just want to say it. I don't know. Kelby, you have any thoughts?
No, I'm married.
What?
Mark?
Get it?
Oh, I get it now. I'm going to be staying up really late for a while, and I'm looking forward to being nocturnal.
What's your
And
favorite
that's-
Monster Energy to help you stay awake late at night, Mark?
I thought I had it on me. I like the 0-calorie orange one, whatever the fuck that's called.
Oh, Ultra Sunrise.
Is that what it's called?
Yes, it is.
I don't like it anymore. The orange one.
No, there goes our Monster sponsorship. Kelby,
Okay.
any shout-outs, plugs, anything you want to say here at the end?
Yeah, sure. I would just like to say, you know that Travis and I talk a lot about Total War Warhammer 2. Today is the birth date of the best Total War Warhammer 2 streamer on Twitch. His name is Fenron Jenkins. We've talked about him a couple times. He turns 28. He's a super, super nice guy. He doesn't get a ton of
Does
viewership.
he want his
so
age out there?
It is out there now. He's a super, super nice guy. His channel doesn't get like crazy viewership. Usually he's like at max between like 100 and 150 or something. So like his channel has a really cool like community feel. He engages with the chat a lot. If you have any interest in the game or if you're a Total War player like us, then I would highly recommend that you check him out. He answers questions. He's super responsive. I've generally found over time, even though, oh man, I actually almost did a leak on my work thing, that I'm actually trending more and more towards watching like smaller broadcasters in their communities because I like the engagement that comes around those channels as opposed to like I'm watching Ninja or I'm watching Shroud for whatever reason. And, there's like, it's just like like the spam in the chat is just like, what is this thing? Why does it even exist? You know what I mean? Like it's not something that I personally get gratification out of. But I think that Fenron is a super, super great smaller broadcaster. I want him. I think he deserves a lot more success. It's tough because he's in a rather niche game. But if you're interested, I would recommend checking him out. Twitch.tv/Fenron Jenkins.
Mark,
if you guys want to watch another streamer who doesn't have that many viewers, check out this guy, D Mark Z. He's also, unlike Fenron, not interactive when you show up in his stream. He's usually just, it seems like he forgot and somehow it turned on. That's about the level of interaction you would expect, as if someone was unaware that they were streaming. He's not a cool guy. He's very grouchy. But you should watch him once a month.
It's my turn. I want to give a shout out to Riot for their viewership reward program. Assuming it works out well, I think this is a great thing that they've announced. I think it's really easy for me to spend a ton of time criticizing them for their missteps, and it's hard sometimes to just like give them the pat on the back whenever they do something right. But this seems like it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see how it goes. And it's the type of thing that I was worried would be gone when the BAMTech deal went away, because it felt like that was where they were going to put the technological stuff in. But I'm excited to see how that works out and what it does for viewership and engagement and all that stuff. I see it in a lot of other esports, so that's great. So shout out to Riot. Also, shout out to our sponsor for the show, your Twitch Prime sub. That's right. You might be watching this. You hover over the screen with your cursor, and it'll tell you if you've got a Twitch Prime sub. You can send it my way. We are 14 subs out from my thing. I still got to pay Mark, and we don't have a sponsor for the show, so that's you guys can help me out with that.
My rate's not going down with the lack of a sponsor. I'm still making Travis pay me every goddamn cent.
Yeah, that was an uncomfortable conversation we had earlier, but we had it and we agreed. And Mark is here. We were gonna think that was true. Either way,
and I'm the only one who's here for the passion.
Yeah, that's true.
Kelby lacks attention.
Yeah, Kelby's here because it's the only thing. It's the single strand of relevance he's hanging on to since he left CLG.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, well,
I'm barely holding on.
I've kept you alive this whole time, Kelby.
Wrap the show, Travis. Let me out.
I'm like fucking FlyQuest, just like, please don't forget.
You can check out the rest of our coverage of all things esports right here on Hotline League episode
at
ongamers.net.